Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 443. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Carlos Romero.
Yo. Got approved, by the way.
Yeah. Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Adam Vale.
How you doing?
And Brett Murdoch.
What's up, people?
Yo, Carlos, you got the 90. How much you get? 95,000?
90,000.
Oh, that's good. That's better than me, you know.
We good.
Yeah, we good. All right, people, we're back with another one. Manny will show up a little bit later. And again, update, Brian said he shall return by the end of the month. So it'll be great to have him on and get his... But actually, I think Brian got lucky, avoid a lot of this bullshit that's been happening in the industry.
It's so crazy for him because it's like 5 or 6 in the morning or something. He gets what is it that he has to get up to do this?
No, he doesn't get up. He just stays up.
He just stays up.
He's dedicated, man. You know? He says he just takes like a nap or whatever beforehand.
We'll see if that happens after he reproduces.
Things may be different. You know. Shout out to the crew right here in the chat. We got Fergus Mills in the house.
Shout out to Fergus Mills.
My man Blitz, Mighty Nerd. You know. So we're back with is Brian moving into a Buckingham Palace or something? Yes, he is.
That's our speculation.
You know. So let's get into it, man. We got a lot of questions tonight. So I'm going to try not to dwell on too many of these, but, you know, we don't want to rush through them either, you know. Let's get into it. Oh, by the way, I'm removing the restraints as far as, like, you know, question limits. It's just, all right, we're just going to go with it. No sponsorship. We're just going to go with it, you know, for tonight. Jay Shep starts us off, man, with the most contentious questions of the night. First question here. Microsoft and Call of Duty are two of the most downloaded games on the PlayStation platform. With Sony accepting deal for Call of Duty and finally kissing Microsoft's ass, does this mean that a reality where the gaming industry goes through Microsoft is closer than ever? So he's basically saying, is Microsoft going to dominate the entire industry?
Nah, man, they're squeezing out from the bottom. They're not. This isn't everybody lining up to kiss the ring of Microsoft. This is Microsoft getting out from having to lick everybody's fucking boots. Like, you have to realize the deals they were getting up until now were fucking shit. And they were getting ready to negotiate pretty much one of the worst deals in the industry in terms of compensation. Like, they were going to go down from 30% to 20%. And not for everybody, just for Microsoft. Revenue share. Like, that's a fucking third of their revenue that they were about to give up for being Microsoft.
Yeah, or Xbox, the Xbox division.
For being Xbox. There's no other reason other than they didn't have the market share and they could squeeze that extra revenue out of them, right? So if you are a company sitting there looking at it, you're like, yeah, that's gonna suck. And that pretty much just because we can't play ball or swing as heavy as anybody else. Like, you're seeing that go away.
Yeah.
Right?
Go ahead.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, no, because I want to bring up a quick comment from Mr. Jolly Yellow. This is a good point, and I want people to really understand what he just said, because there's a lot of alarmists going on. You know, a lot of people getting really upset over this. This is what Mr. Jolly Yellow said. The Activision acquisition isn't going to instantly put Xbox on top. It just means they now have new tools to launch a comeback. Exactly. You know.
That's it.
There you go. Thank you for saying that. That's so perfect. Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead.
Just because remember what's going on here. It's the publishers, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. The publishers with the hardware. They have the platform. So yeah, you could have a great game, but if you don't have the platform to put it on and where there's an audience, then you can't make any money. So that was the other reason why Sony was getting such a good deal with Activision, because they have such a large install base. So I don't see any big shift happening just because Microsoft is developing more software, because they still have to be reliant on Steam and PlayStation and whatever other platforms take off in the future, because there will be more.
Yeah, I want to jump to this next question because it's kind of related to this one. Jay Shep also asks, as I'm forced to witness Sony help Microsoft spend them out of business, Please tell me that my beloved Valve is safe from Microsoft's mediocre grasp. Again, I don't know how many times we need to explain this, right? Microsoft did not go seeking Activision for this deal. Activision came to them. Again, I understand Microsoft tried before, but we're talking about for this specific deal. Again, and I said this on the Thursday show, right? It seems like people are like looking at this like those old like videos that we used to see in school of like Nazi Germany and at the octopus in Europe just spreading out and shit. Like, no, it's not like that. Microsoft, yeah, they bought Bethesda, and then Activision came to them. They were like, okay, shit, we got the money for it. These motherfuckers are on sale. Let's go. But people seem to think, this relates to First One too. Microsoft's just like steamrolling through the industry, just buying everything possible. That is not what's happening, man. But again, that seems to be the crux of what people really believe, and it's alarmist. It's fucking crazy. And again, and I've said this, and let's go next. I guarantee you, after this deal is set, Microsoft will not be doing any big acquisitions for a couple of years. After this shit that happened, my man Nadella is like, yo, Phil, man, what the fuck was this shit? You need to relax. I don't want to be going to court, man. I got AI to worry about. Like
That's right.
Yeah. So this shit is not. It's not going to be Microsoft just spreading out, just gobbling everything up. That is fucking crazy. Anyway, Adam, go on.
But
I was just going to say.
I just have one thing
go ahead,
to interject. I want to point out if Sony mistrusted Microsoft so much, then why did they move their entire PlayStation cloud platform to Azure? If Microsoft's such an unscrupulous company that will screw them over at every turn, you realize Microsoft could just turn their fucking cloud section off with PlayStation and screw them over entirely. Yeah. That's not happening. There's contracts and legal ramifications and financial ramifications for doing unscrupulous things. So it's like, why would you trust them with that, with your infrastructure, but you're not going to trust them to honor a 10-year deal? Call of Duty. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, or they could have just turned off the, just throttle their internet.
Yeah, they could throttle all their servers. They could turn them down, and it's like, wow, look, not really got care, but it's like, hey, your game's download like shit and all this. No, they don't do that. It's like, that's not how business models work in contracts. Like, when you have legally binding contracts, they didn't need to sit in a court under oath and say, hey, we're going to honor this shit. When you put that to paper, that's legal enough to go to court. Like, hey, they didn't honor this shit. We didn't get the 10-year deal, or we got a non-parity game, and it's like worse than their version. All these things are laid out, right? You make those arrangements, you negotiate, you make those deals. So to sit there and say like, "Oh, Microsoft's going to ruin it," like, why? They don't have any financial incentive to do that. I don't understand this thinking that they're going to give them a worse version of a game, whatever. Sony would have worked all that stuff out behind the scenes with the contracts.
And this is a somewhat side note. I mean, obviously we're talking about that thing that, the deal that they signed. But one thing I noticed that they didn't sign, it just seemed to talk about Call of Duty. It didn't talk about any of the other titles that Activision is
all Jim Ryan cared about was Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always said this is about Call of Duty,
Yeah, it's all about Call of Duty, but to be honest, and like in my camp, I don't give a shit about Call of Duty. What I care about is the other things that they produce. And to be honest, I feel like if out of anything, this is kind of obviously they want to do their little Call of Duty bullshit, but Jim should have signed a little bit of something for some other titles in there too.
Dude, am I the only?
Because
someone found this hilarious that like Diablo came out as like doing Game Busters and like they're arguing about Call of like this feels like the little brother with like straight A's, like the middle child with straight A's, standing there where the parents are arguing over what a shitbag the oldest is.
Exactly. It's like obviously it's like Call of Duty can change the tide, but to be honest, I feel like the other titles on there are a lot more. To be honest, like I guess they're not like system seller things, but to be honest, I would much rather have some of the other titles that Activision develops. Granted, I don't buy Activision games, but sign a deal with that too. That includes some of that stuff because if you think about it, if Call of Duty goes down the drains, right? If that Microsoft stink doesn't manage to get onto the damn franchise like that happens to a lot of their other things that have been under the hood.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, the chat rightly points out that Diablo isn't a yearly, annual, consistent big seller like Call of Duty.
No, I know.
Yes, I understand that, but the thing about it is, again, also there is also the chance that they'll say, for the sake of conversation, what if Call of Duty doesn't start hitting those numbers? What if they do more of those dumb space ones that literally cuts their numbers down?
Yeah, they're not
killing it right now is bundled. Everything is $20 bundles now.
Nothing is permanent. And to be honest, I feel like the deal that they signed with this silly Call of Duty thing is kind of cutting themselves short. But, all they cared about was Call of Duty, so they got themselves some Call of Duty. So whatever.
But I think there's more to the deal. We don't know everything with the deal. Because remember, for Nintendo and for the GeForce, it's not just for Call of Duty. It's for Microsoft and Activision games. So I'm sure there's more in it, but standout is Call of Duty.
Do it.
But
gotta have some.
Well, it's a contract. All these contracts they release are multi-pages. It's not one spreadsheet. Because if that's the case, it just says Call of Duty 10 years, sign here. No, it's got to be more.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the only thing at least we know for now, they got themselves some Call of Duty, so everybody can shut the fuck up right now because they got what they wanted.
They got
the only thing I want. The only thing
I don't care.
To point out is that when was it 2018? Was it 2018, 17? I forgot already. When Phil got on stage and just started announcing all the studios that they purchased. Remember that?
I don't remember the year.
Yeah, exactly. But we remember that when that moment.
Well, there was a big picture. There was like a big. They didn't announce all the pictures. They just had a giant picture of all the different studios.
Yeah, it was a Gamescom or something of all these studios that they just bought. They were like, "Oh, we bought this." But the thing is that a lot of those were already up for sale, and they were looking for sellers. So it's not so much of them just gobbling them up. There's a lot of those were smaller studios. They were looking for funding.
The other thing about being an independent studio, like Double Fine, and also you would talk about like Ninja Theory. I feel like, obviously they're looking for, being at Microsoft is a very it's pretty much like having, a guaranteed, right? You're pretty good. You're pretty good if you're hanging out there. So I think in general, it's like, hey, if these guys are offering, I know we that means we won't need to be struggling, and all we need to do is just continue to make our games. And so I could see a lot of smaller companies taking that, taking the deal, with them.
And then for the developers, seeing these developers on Twitter react, it was like, oh, great! Now I have some flexibility. I could probably move to other departments because it's all within the same family. Damn, maybe I can go and work on one of those Fallout games, or I can do this and that. It's more flexibility to move around, just like in a company, because you're in house.
Yeah. But by the way, to answer this specific question, I don't think you have to worry about Valve. I don't think you have to worry about Valve. They're good.
They didn't even sign the contract. They didn't need it.
I would think the only thing I would say is, again, we haven't seen the fruits of any of the Microsoft regime's labor, right? We haven't seen any of it. Whatever the hell that game was that bombed, whatever Bethesda game that
Redfall?
was. Yeah, Redfall. Whatever the hell that shit was, that was already in development before they got in the hood. The only reason why it gets the poster child is because it came out. It's literally the first release of this new acquisition thing, but it's not really the one that came when they actually sat in the seat. So we'll see. I hope, again, hopefully that all these acquisitions turn out something good, or is it just the Microsoft curse is just spreads? Doesn't matter what company you are.
Good.
It just comes out as booty butt cheeks somehow.
Like Phil said, he said there were all hands on deck for Starfield. So this is it. If you have all hands on deck and this game is whack, then all your studios don't know how to do shit anymore. For some reason, they go into this thing and they just fall apart.
In general, I would say the thing about it is, again, it's because of it being such a big game, like an anticipated game. Essentially the second of maybe it'd probably be the third, because the Hi-Fi Rush was the other one. but it'll be the third of this sort of to come out within this acquisition, which obviously people see. Oh, hey, this thing was, it was this is their, Microsoft, this is theirs. I think it'll if it does come out like crap, it definitely affects what's coming later. So they want to make sure as shit that this thing comes out as close to perfect as possible, to at least make a good show of things. That's right. The Madonna.
Madonna's like Guadalupe, man.
Yeah.
All right. Next question here from Mr. J. Shep. Sony signed a contract for Call of Duty only and not future Activision games because because they signed this deal. They can no longer complain about Xbox's acquired publishers' exclusivity to regulators. That being the expectation, could this come back to bite Sony when Microsoft makes future publisher acquisitions?
I don't know. What I think is gonna. I don't think on this. I don't see any other big. No.
Again, I don't see them doing any big acquisitions for a while.
No,
the
only thing
especially with the way the FGC was just like literally putting it down their sites in general. Like, I'm not sure what it is with the U.S. government and Microsoft, but they really like to come down on them.
They really do, yeah. So that's why Microsoft's like, yo, we're gonna just lay low for a while. I honestly don't think Nadella was very happy about that. Taking his time out to go deal with this shit while he's trying to do AI stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's not only Microsoft. The Activision's attorneys were also there and drilling them. So it was two big companies that were trying to fight this, because remember, this isn't a corporate takeover. This was a merger. And you're now saying, no, I don't want you.
An acquisition, not a merger.
Yeah, it's an acquisition, not a merger. Yeah.
But they call it a merger. They're using that term because they're trying to say this is a vertical merger. That was the title for it. So this is their whole thing. And so they were fighting against both of them.
J. Shep goes, props to you talking to me. You was right about Sony punk ass signing the contract. Of course they're going to sign the contract. What else are they going to do?
They were going to sign it because that's their other bread and butter.
Wait, but this is what I was bringing up in the chat before when I was like, they do have another play. And this is what I thought, if they really wanted to play hardball with this, is don't sign any deal. Don't sign any deal. Say, no, I don't like this deal. I want a better deal. So then now that the agreement, the way that Phil made it sound in his tweet, was like, oh, agreement, not contract. I was thinking, oh, you're just honoring the agreement that they already had with Activision. So yeah, the next Call of Duty, which is coming out soon, will be on. But until they come to the table and sign a deal, then that's it. But I was thinking, what if Sony doesn't sign a deal? And so, you know what? No, we want like 20, 30 or whatever. And Microsoft says, no. It's like, okay. And then they start making a Sony ad campaign saying, no Call of Duty for next year. You know why? Because Microsoft doesn't want to give us a good deal to put these games on here. They're the reason. It's like when you have cable and then you get that message. It's like, hey, this channel is no longer available because these people want more money. Call them. I figured that they could fight that way. It's like, hey, we want a better deal to give to you. No 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, whatever. So go ahead. Here's this email. Send them an email. Here's their phone number. Call them. Get that better deal. If not, no Call of Duty. I thought they were going to play hardball like that, but no, they didn't.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, man.
Also, to bring up a very interesting thing. Remember, like Tony's talking about, oh, we don't want the competition to have our technology, but you have their technology because you're making the baseball games, right?
Well, it's also bullshit. It's like there's Bethesda has your dev kits already. They were making games for you, and Microsoft owns them. Also, you had to give dev kits to the Minecraft team. That's stupid.
Yeah.
So like how are all these other companies like okay, but yet no, this one isn't okay? You're already giving the technology over, so they know what's going on, and you know what's going on over there because you're making baseball games for the Xbox. So whatever.
And then Minecraft that came up in court. Because FTC was like, well, what's up with this? How come there's no PS5 version? You see, you talk about you doing X. And it's like, well, they didn't send us the kits. We asked for the kits so we can get it out day one. And they said no. And so we waited, and it was like months. And they said within like 2 months, whatever, they received it. And now they have to work on it. But
I think what's going to
the delay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we may have a question about this. We actually do. So I'll save my thoughts on that for a little bit later. Adam, I want you to tell the fans what you told me off air about Jim Ryan, how you actually see him in a different light.
Yeah. So after the email and after they presented his interview and when they asked him questions like, hey, what do you feel about Starfield being exclusive? And he had no issue. And if anything, he felt that Microsoft was calling BS. Well, he was calling them BS on putting Call of Duty day one on Game Pass. He was like, I don't see them. But the Starfield and other things, he didn't see anything wrong with any of that stuff. And after hearing that, and then with the email that he sent over a few days after meeting with Kotick and Phil and telling Sony Japan, hey, listen, I met with them. They're going to make this deal. Kind of sucks, but we'll be fine. I'm pretty sure everything will be, it's business as usual, Call of Duty. And remember, we got other things in the pipeline. But then shortly after that, we see him doing a world tour and saying the total opposite. So I'm seeing him as he was just seeing it on the business side. It's like, all right, this is what's going on, but we're good. And as soon as Sony Japan found out, they picked up the phone, they called him and pretty much burnt his ass. Because then he went going around saying the total opposite. He did a full 180. No, we're going to go out of business. No, this is horrible. And I was like, okay, so this wasn't his mindset at first. Because he didn't see the threat. Yeah, it sucks. No one wants any competitor to buy a big publisher, especially a big title like Call of Duty. But you know what? We still have the install base. We're still the top dog. If they want to make some big money back, they're going to have to put that game here. That's the same thing that Valve said, which is why they didn't even need a contract. It would just be suicide if Microsoft said, you know what, we're going to take it off of Valve and we're going to put it back on our Microsoft games. No one's doing it. No one's playing that shit. So I really think that he was just the company man, and they pretty much told him, hey, you got to fight this. You have to fight. And we'll see. We'll see. Once it's said and done, if we find out that he has been future endeavored and he's going off to do his own thing, then we know that was the case. Yeah. Because remember, his whole thing, even when Lulu, which was one of the heads over at Activision, she said, yeah, all he said is that he wants to get this deal blocked. He has to get this deal blocked. He wasn't saying he hates Microsoft or that. It was like he has to kill this deal, which is probably what his overlords told him. Hey, you're there. You're on the front lines. You're in the States. Stop this now.
Yeah, real quick, Jay Shep says that was supposedly because no other Activision titles were coming to PlayStation. That's why he fought it. The original deal was for all Activision titles.
No, well, he said what the alarm bell was the second email that he received from Phil. That there was another email that just confirming, hey, what's going on. There was another email after that said that, we'll work out a deal for other games and we'll work out a deal for Call of Duty. And that was not what he thought. He thought that it was going to be like he's told them in the first email to Japan, business as usual. There'll always be Call of Duties and also. And by Phil's making it seem like work on a new deal, it's like, oh, wait. So we're not going to be guaranteed the new Call of Duty every year. Now you're going to set some time strengths over this. That was the alarm because he was under impression there would be no time. It's like, hey, we're just going to keep doing it, spitting them out every year. Don't worry about it. But once he heard that and he saw it was like 5 years or whatever the term, it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. So then, yeah, go ahead and fight. And that makes sense. That makes sense. To do that, but for all the other stuff that was going on, for him traveling around now, that
yeah. All right. Last up from Mr. J. Shep, the Fable reboot just lost its narrative director a year after being promoted into the role. Should we have concerns?
That game
yes,
sucks.
you should.
Yeah, absolutely, you should.
That should never
yes,
come.
You should.
You should have Fable that we're even getting a Fable. That's
yeah. You should have been concerned the second you saw there was a Fable remake going on.
You know.
Mm-hmm. You saw that trailer?
Yeah, when you saw that trailer, you know.
I really thought the trailer was just that they were going to rehash their older games, like do a HD, bump up in graphics. I didn't think they were going to make a new one.
So yeah, I was already learning about this game before this news, J. Shep. So
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about this, man. Especially with that last trailer release with that character, Chris. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
No.
No me gusta.
Yeah, no me gusta.
I feel like to be honest, like the red flag for any of that sort of Fable is the fact, and I said this before, and Brett could also say the same thing. None of the people that made Fable are there. You know.
Yeah.
And also not talking about what's his face. Not concerning what's his face.
Peter Molyneux.
Mr. Molyneux.
Yeah, Mr.
Molyneux.
Molyneux. Thing is that none of the people that also made that game are working on this one. It's somebody totally new. How do we know that this will even have any of the charm of the original? And obviously it
They
doesn't.
make racing games, man.
Yeah, because they make racing games.
Oh man.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm willing to give these people the benefit of the doubt because you don't know what they got. But at the same time, it's like, again, like, who are these guys? Like, these are guys that make the racing games, but they don't have any of that Britishness, right? That make those games.
Has anybody here played the? I'm sure some people have. I've never played.
Brett loves
Brett loves
Brett
Fable.
played it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Fable, man.
Yeah.
Great. But here's the thing, like, it's going to be a new endeavor, period. It's just going to be a new thing. I don't even know that you can go back to old style Fable, to be real honest.
Yeah.
It's so much of what it was dictated by the hardware, which was so outdated now. So, like, you could make something along the idea of a Fable game, but, like, you can't just, polish that shit up and call it a new thing.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. Who is this? Some guy called Citizen. Who is this guy? So he has a question. Does Jim Ryan stick with this statement? I'm going to read the statement. In short, Ryan says that if Microsoft were to acquire Activision Blizzard, Sony could no longer supply advanced information about its next console, the PS6, in order for Activision to start developing games early. In turn, that would be giving secret console information to their biggest competitor, Microsoft's Xbox.
Ooh.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? That's what I was going to say before. Basically, because they got to protect their shit, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen is they won't start developing games before the PlayStation 6 out. It's going to be after the fact, after all the specs are already out there.
These dudes are gonna make PS5 cross-gen games anyway, so it's not like
I'm just thinking about, like, let's, for example, when we had Cold War, remember? And that introduced the haptic feedback with the weapons and all that stuff with the controller. That they had to implement that because they knew the specs, they knew what the controller can do in the system, and a few other things with the lighting and stuff. It takes time to implement those things. So if they say we're not sending any dev kits, then could we see a time where Call of Duty's come out and people are like, hey, there's this new whatever, fill in the blank, new feature, PS6. How come this game doesn't have that? Then who do you point the finger at? Because then it's like, well, they didn't want to send a dev kit, so then the team that worked on it couldn't implement that in. It will be eventually, or at some point. How long does it take to implement some of those features? We don't know. It hasn't happened yet. But he's making it seem like that's going to be the norm when it comes to these Call of Duties, that they're not going to send anything. Because it's not like, oh, here's a little patch, here, stick that on, and there you go. It takes time to implement those type of new features across the board in a big game.
Yeah, but again, once the system is out and a bunch of developers have already worked on it, that secret's already out. So they, you know what I'm saying?
I guess he must have said this for a reason, and I guess they had some other deal with Activision of sending over information, or else he wouldn't have brought this up.
I mean, to be honest, again, like Microsoft needs to send over their development kits so that Sony can make their baseball games on there, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
So what's the big difference? You both know what
I think this is because it's a they don't want the secrets to go out before the PS6 launches. Understand? Like with the Xbox, all that stuff's already known. There's no secrets anymore. Like I think that what they're trying to do is they don't want Microsoft to be like, oh shit, they got this feature coming up, we got to implement it into our system that's coming up. That's the fear. But if the system's already out, it doesn't matter anymore.
But it does matter because let's say if there's a cool new feature that everyone is going to be using for the touchpad or whatever, or remember like that one game that you can blow on it.
I got something to say about that, but Yeah,
you
go
know
ahead.
what I mean? So if they say, hey, listen, here's our dev kits for PS6, it's going to now support this, this, and that. Consider these ideas as new features for your games. That's off the board for a Call of Duty then, because they're not getting that.
But to be fair, most games don't use those features. You know, remember how many games actually use the touchpad? Very few third-party games did that.
Just for
no. So we're not gonna have those brand new third-party launch features accessible to us from the get-go. Like, I'm trying to think of all those great games with all those great third-party games that use the touchpad.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's any big loss here.
Here's the thing, though. Who's to stop Sony or Microsoft from essentially sending over a console that doesn't have all the things that it's supposed to have? It has what is need to develop the game, but not any of the other stuff. Obviously, their network capabilities, what their specs are. Obviously, you need all of that sort of stuff. But who's to say they don't? They're like, don't worry about all that other stuff. Just don't put it into Microsoft one. And I'm sure Microsoft will do the same damn thing on theirs.
Yeah. We just don't want that people start talking about when the next Call of Duty comes out. It's like, oh, well, it would be good like the PC version and Xbox version, but it doesn't have this because this is a PS6 exclusive feature and they didn't implement it. And don't take it in a way that Microsoft decided not to do it. It's just they weren't sent dev kit to implement.
Again, like I don't think that in general, like I don't think the in general, like when it comes to a lot of those features, that sort of stuff, unless it's something that's needed across the board. Usually, third parties don't and Brett said it. Usually, third parties don't take that much advantage of all the.
They really don't.
Stuff.
They really don't.
Like
the only thing that comes to mind is with the guns, how they feel different.
The guns, wasn't like the thing is that like a vibration is sort of parity between them, right? The thing is that the
feedback. It was like there was more pull. You had to pull on the triggers for certain guns harder.
Yeah,
somewhere a little easier.
But doesn't Microsoft have that on theirs too?
No.
Hey Adam, I can't help but notice you're pointing out all these features in past tense.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's it because I turned those off when I would play them on multiplayer because it just slows me down. So I would turn those off. It was only good for campaign mode to get that realism.
Again, it's not really a feature that really anybody gave that much of a crap for. And to be honest, again, Microsoft, as I remember, they said that on the second one they had a little bit of that going on too, didn't they? On their controllers. So they had some of that going on there too. So I feel like it's not that much of a leap, unless Sony has some sort of revolutionary, new thing in the pipeline. I don't think I think they could probably send over a dev kit that just omits that specific thing if they want. If they're that much, and that worried about what's going on inside of the console. And to be honest, it wouldn't be the first time that a company essentially developing a chipset for them use some of that information to make another chipset. Remember when both of those consoles were using IBMs and that cell processor? Some of that shit made its way over to the Xbox, even though they didn't say it until later. So it's the same bullshit.
Yeah,
but one thing we know is definitely going to happen.
It's all in the same factory. The factory guys could be like, "Yo, Microsoft, you see that over there? PlayStation."
What I think is going to run.
Yeah, now I'm going to go commit suicide because I work at the.
Foxconn. By the way, you're not gonna see me because my replacer is going to take over because I'm going to go and I'm gonna not come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go jump out the window. Oh, they got nets around the building. Oh, damn it! Foiled again.
Tony, just wait a few minutes. They'll work you to death.
Yeah, right.
Well, what I definitely know is going to happen, and all these games always ship broken anyway. But all it's going to take is like, oh, this doesn't work right here. Fucking Microsoft, they did this on purpose, But none of these games ship perfect. So,
the thing about it is, like, to be honest, all it will make them do is make sure that there is parity between them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're probably not gonna if there's any inkling, if there's any sort of difference between the two, people,
I know.
he'll something
I know.
about it.
It's gonna happen. Digital
So
Foundry will say
all this sort of spinning wheels that's going on with like Digital Foundry, like comparing two versions, you're gonna probably see even more parity because of just this contract. Because they don't want that shit in there. They don't want that stinking up the room. So you can all you Xbox fans can also blame PlayStation if it's gimping your Call of Duty.
I have a potentially dumb question.
Uh-oh.
And I thought this happened a while ago, but I guess I'm seeing a lot of people talk about this right now. Is Xbox Live Gold officially, like, as of today, gone, or what's going on? Anybody know?
It's a leak from Wario 64. Is that what you're talking about, Carlos?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that leak.
So the only way to get the any kind of Xbox service is through Game Pass.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's the rumor.
I don't think that's accurate, only because Game Pass isn't in all markets. That's the thing. That's why people can still buy those $60 cards, and then when you put them in on your console here, it turns into a 1-year Game Pass. It's because it's coming from areas that don't offer game service, just isn't live there, whatever reason it is.
Here's the rumor: Xbox Live Gold will apparently transition to Xbox Game Pass Core on September 1st. Includes online multiplayer and various benefits. Same price as Xbox Live Gold. Existing Xbox Live Gold subscribers will convert to Core. Includes 25 Game Pass titles. GWG offers will end. I don't know.
So it's a modified version of that tier. Then it's Core. I've never heard of Core. So it's not throwing people on Game Pass. It's giving them.
Yeah. So there's 4 tiers now of Game Pass. There's Core, which is $9.99 per month. Console, which is $10.99 per month. PC, which is $9.99 per month, and Ultimate, which is $16.99 per month.
Interesting. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on it.
Yep. What I was going to bring up before I forget, because I know I'm going to forget.
There was some comment here, but
when you were talking before about mergers and them buying other studios, whatever, I don't see that, but I do see the possibility that Ubisoft joins the party in Game Pass, considering how bad they're hurting. So if they put their Uplay service, just like EA did, when nobody was paying up for it, so like, all right, fine, we'll jump into this group here and we'll get a cut of the pie. So I can see that, and if they do that, then man, you pretty much got all of them except Take-Two.
Yeah.
And the emails.
Yeah. Before moving on, hold on, let me read a comment here. Where was it? I think it was Alpha Chuck D. Yeah. Alpha Chuck D. I could tell you're a newer fan, so we got to explain some stuff here. He's like, "What's up with the vapor rub?" You got to understand, man.
That's the mascot.
Yeah. There's 4 Hispanics on this podcast. Vapor rub, or Biba Poru, as Dominicans like to call it. That is the cure all for everything. We got to represent our people, so we got Biba Poru in the house. You know.
There you go.
Yeah, because obviously we like 4 Hispanics, but we're like from different Hispanic groups and stuff, so we can't have a flag. So we got Biba Peru. That is, and Chris, you're like an honorary fucking Hispanic.
He's island. So
you're island. You're island.
Island.
It's the same thing. My mom, everything, sick, sniffles, anything, vapor up. Yeah, vapor arm hurts, vapor up.
Yeah, so like some people have like rainbow flags. We got Biba Peru. Represent our people.
You go to sleep, you put some on their eyelid. That's it.
That's it.
Open the eye, it burns.
Put it on.
You know how many times my mom has had an quote unquote infection that she cured with Biba Peru. Universal cure, I'm telling you, man. It's like, I got a sore throat. Put that, swallow some of this. I'm dead ass. My mom was like, I got a toothache. She puts the Biba Peru. It's fine now.
You got a bad back.
Yeah, Biba Peru. Yeah, Alpha Chuck Shady. Let's go, son. Let's go with the bits. Manny, get the sound effect.
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me
There you go. Oh man! All right, yeah. See, reggaeton. We got to do that shit. All right, let's move on, man. Kiss Shack got some questions from him. All right. With the merger complete, does Sony now have the weakest library of IP games compared to the other two console manufacturers? That is an interesting question. Nah, they still got a pretty strong one, brother.
Really.
Yo, man, Spider-Man and Wolverine ain't no fucking joke.
They're not a joke, And let's just be honest here. Blitz, I hope you're here. But I hope you're here. Nintendo has the most fucking the best IPs out there. Let's just be honest. In terms of like popularity, like come on now, you know?
Yeah, like Tony. Here's the thing, like one thing about like, you know, like I haven't seen it so much for this generation. We're still seeing sort of, you know, the old games sort of getting sequels. But you know, in general, Sony, you always used to create every single generation. There's always been a new franchise that hits. Yeah. So we're sort of waiting for that one to happen. Was it? No, it wasn't even Days Gone because that was the end of PlayStation 4 era.
I hope they make another one of those.
We'll see. I mean, to be honest, like it was sort of like a late bloomer. Like in the beginning, all the issues because it was using Unreal Engine. You know, it had a lot of issues then.
Yeah, so, but I think Sony's fine. They got a lot of great IPs.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of good IPs, and I think they'll like if they don't got it, they'll probably work on something new that might be interesting. So, but again, not everything's a hit, but you know they got a whole library they can go dig in.
Yeah. Tony,
by the way, by the way, I was thinking of this. Crash Bandicoot is now an exclusive character for the Xbox.
Yep.
Is there a question in there of anyone asking if Sony is now going to pull a trigger for Square Enix or any of those?
No questions about that.
No question. No, because that was one thing I saw a lot of people saying. It was like, oh well, they got to be careful. They got to start gobbling up some of these other ones instead of these. And I don't know if that'll happen.
One. This is a side note. One thing to know about a lot of these deals that when companies do these sorts of timed exclusives and all that other stuff, it's not only just for the timed exclusive, it's also assisted development. Like
is it with marketing and everything? Yeah,
it's a marketing, but it's also an assist in development in general. Like in other words, leveraging the tools that company has available to them to assist them to make their game. So it's not just, oh, hey, look, we just got this timed exclusive. It means that they're putting a significant amount of money into actually helping to develop the game. That's part of I'm sure that's probably why Sony was able, you know, when it comes to a lot of the Square Enix games, that's why they did it. They wanted themselves some Final Fantasy, and they're also flipping over some money to assist on there. I'm sure if you look
Square Enix released it. They said it. They came out and said the statement. During the case, they said, "Hey, we did this because they fronted a lot of the costs for things, especially with the marketing side and helping
exactly." So,
and
so they, you know, like, and I think a few other games that have had those things. Like, what was it? The Bethesda developed
Street Fighter V.
The Bethesda developed. What game was that? That was recently the one that was a timed exclusive. The alternate dimension game. What the fuck was that?
Deathloop.
That one, if people were all getting up in arms when they saw Sony people inside of there. Yeah. Because they used their motion capture studio and a bunch of other things. Yes, because they put some money into it. That means that they could leverage some of their stuff. So they could get the timed exclusivity. It's not just like, hey, timed exclusivity. Usually there's a little bit more gain on the developer side when this stuff happens too.
Yeah, but I don't. Is that new Final Fantasy time exclusive? I thought it was permanent exclusive. Besides the PC, I don't know.
I think I definitely
coming to PC.
No, I know, just for PC. That's what I'm saying.
No, for whatever deal Sony has with, they have a genuine console exclusivity deal, not just a timed exclusive.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I don't think that's ever coming.
The last Final Fantasy didn't come out for Xbox, did it?
Nope.
Yeah, it did.
With 15?
I have it. 15 did.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah. What about 7?
How many years was that?
I don't know how many years.
What about 7?
No, that's not there. That's exclusive.
Yeah, I think they locked it down.
Yeah. And the PC one was supposed to be available, and then they sent out a message that they had some complications with it, and so it's on hold indefinitely, which is bullshit. They just said, fuck it, we're just not going to release on PC. We'll wait.
Well, yeah. To be honest, like the thing about it is the Japanese studios are not the best at releasing PC ports of their
Yeah.
games. There's some Square Enix being the most notorious. The state that Near Automata the shipped that on PC was pretty much appalling. It took years to fix that, and a bunch of the other titles though too. So whatever they're doing, they probably we can't solve this. Fuck it, we're just gonna put it on hold for now.
Yeah. All right. Next question here, also from Kishak. Are PlayStation users bemoaning the loss of Japan Studio a vocal minority of the PlayStation user base? If Japan Studios' games were so beloved and good, you think that the base would actually buy and support the games they released? Yeah, they are a vocal minority.
That is a very good point.
You answer your own question, bro.
Yeah.
If these loud people were that passionate, why don't they buy the games?
Why weren't they buying the games for them? That's the whole reason why they closed down Japan Studio. They were putting all this money into, I mean, granted, those were semi middle A titles, right? But at the same time, there were also some of the most creative titles that Sony has put out. But were you buying the Puppeteer? Puppeteer bombed. Was it their highest Japan Studio game? Was Shadow the Colossus, the original one?
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but I could see why they saw it fit to close down the studio, because it was just like they were making money, but they weren't making bangers. And to be honest, right now they seem to be all in on making bangers, even though they're still making garbage games like that stupid Fortnite clone car game.
Yeah.
So ain't nobody doing any bit better. The only thing is
Rocket League.
Rocket League. The only difference is probably the Japan Studio games don't cost nearly as much as the garbage that they're putting out now.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. All right, another one here.
I want me some more Japan Studio games.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah, go ahead, Manny.
Nah, well, at least Toyama's got his own studio and he's doing his own thing. So they got some sort of horror game coming out from the creative Gravity Rush. And was it Siren? I think it's called
Sugar Rush.
Yeah, I think it was Siren. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. Last one from Mr. Kishak. Would Bloodborne 2 fare better than the original in terms of sales and critical score now that From Software is much bigger in the gaming industry? Well, the game has to be good,
Yeah, I think people, just from what they've seen with the
Elden
Ring and all
Elden Ring?
Yeah, they would definitely expect more,
Yeah, definitely expect more. I feel like for them to go back to old school Bloodborne would almost be a step back.
Yeah, it would have to probably be like Elden Ring, It
would have to be sort of like essentially Elden Ring Plus. Because every single From Software game grows from the last.
Yep.
Bloodborne included. So every single time they an evolution up. So now what if they ever did go down the line of a Bloodborne, would you be playing all of Yharnam now? Or all of whatever that place is called?
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's right, yeah. That'd be interesting. But, I appreciate the question. It's a little too speculative, though.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. And I discovered something. So, Anglo Jackson, it sounds like a new name, but it's actually not. It's actually Black Metal Gamer. I looked it up. Because the questions he was asking, I'm like, these sound like very Black Metal Gamer questions. Because he has very specific type of questions. So I looked at his profile. Sure enough, Black Metal Gamer. So you can't fool us, brother.
Yo, man, why you changing your name, son?
Yeah. No, he probably got the other one, so he can ask more questions.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he's going to ask us that one specific question about, Mag.
The midget?
Fun action game. But I'm not going to say that on air, bro. You try to get me twice. Just real quick. So two of the questions he asked, we already answered before. One of them was, what studio should take over Halo? We already answered that before. And another question I'm not even going to read on air. This specific question, I'm like, that's how I know this is Black Metal Gamer. Because he's the guy that asks questions that I can't read on air. So I'm like, hold on a second. I'm like, you gave yourself away with that,
There can't be two.
Yeah. So the question we can answer, This one's kind of fun. Okay, what long lost IPs could Activision and Microsoft revive if they wanted?
Easy.
Okay, go ahead.
Pitfall, man. Pitfall.
StarCraft.
Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what
Pitfall, man. Bring that back. Bring it back like
what was it?
Drake.
They should do the StarCraft Ghost game.
Yeah.
Well,
StarCraft
that's what
Ghost.
I'm saying.
You
That's what
literally
Adam
make
said,
your
yeah.
own Metal Gear Solid game.
What wasn't the shirt they said Phil was wearing a Hexen shirt, and that was done by Raven Studio?
Raven Software, yeah.
Yeah, Raven Software worked on it, and they think that they was like, shit, no one knows if they even made a shirt like that. Did he have that custom made? Was he trying to send a message? Like, hey, why don't you come over, start working on this game instead of just Call of Duty?
I mean, he did do that once before. He had a shirt from another studio on during the stage. You know, Phil's all about those visual cues.
Oh yeah, he did Battletoads. Remember?
He did Battletoads.
They own that now. Bethesda.
Yeah. Bethesda. But he had also he had his Kojima Productions thing, and everybody was like, yeah, he's got a thing. No, they essentially were hedging out a deal to put it on Xbox Game Pass PC. Yeah.
He likes his little subliminal messages.
Yeah, so now everybody's looking in the backgrounds of his photos.
Yeah, you typically find stuff there.
He had his hidden Xbox back there too. Remember?
Yeah, that was that small one that got canceled.
Yeah, my thing is like all the Activision games I liked were all licensed games. So I don't know if they could bring them back.
Yeah.
Like I would love, I don't want remakes either. I just want remastered versions of like X-Men Origins Wolverine. Because I still think that's like the Wolverine game. I would love the original Spider-Man 2, the X-Men Legends games. These games aren't going to come, by the way, because they're all licensed games. But I never cared for Activision games. I only really liked their licensed stuff. I know they have prototype. I never cared for I played the first prototype. I got the platinum, but I was like, I don't want to do this.
Wasn't Ultimate Destruction
that's another licensed game that I would love, but they're not going to.
Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I don't really care for those, but yeah, they could bring those back.
Yeah, they could.
But they still have to get all the music rights and all that.
That'd be hard. Yeah, that'd be hard. Just like with the licensed games, it'd be hard because Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, like. There is nothing that is stopping them from making an opposite side Marvel deal either.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Marvel doesn't. Marvel.
So like a Hulk game is what you're thinking, like something.
Yeah, like Xbox is green. Put out the Hulk game for the Xbox.
I like that Hulk game. Remember that Hulk
Ultimate
game?
Destruction game. So there's nothing.
Like, it's like prototype. Yeah.
There's officially nothing that's stopping them from essentially making those deals. Because they obviously do it with Sony because they already got two on the Sony side already. So who's to say, hey, Microsoft flips a little bit of cash, says, yo, man, we green, we bleed green. Give us some Hulk.
Yeah,
right?
I miss that Hulk game. Were you with me when I went hunting for a used copy of it?
Ultimate Destruction? I'm not sure.
Somebody was with me, and we went all around to all these GameStops in Manhattan looking for a used copy because I wanted the physical one, and I didn't have it. Eventually found it, but yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It was definitely a good one.
Yeah. Anybody else? What other games do you want them to bring back?
Yeah,
Nobody mentioned Blinks.
Yeah,
I'd like to see them bring to essentially take Blinks and bring it back. Why not? That's already but that's not an Activision.
Yeah, we got to we're bringing back Activision or Blizzard games.
Yeah, so like the only one I can really think of is essentially bringing back a Pitfall or
bring back Blackthorn.
Oh, Blackthorn's a good one. Yeah. Well, is that a licensed game? I remember that Jim.
That was a Blizzard game.
Okay.
It was a Blizzard game.
Yeah, you could bring back Blackthorn, sort of puzzle.
Bring back Angry Vikings.
They
had fun games. Blizzard, before they were just churning out StarCraft and Warcraft, made fun games.
You know what? I would like a Hearthstone on console. We've never got one.
Ooh, Hearthstone.
I'd like that. That'd be fun. Bring that to Steam so I could play it on
Are you
my
sure
TV.
Hearthstone wasn't on console? I thought it was on PS4.
No, not the Hearthstone. None of that's just PC.
What Carlos want Heroes of the Storm back? Revived it. They revamped it.
I don't trust either Activision, Blizzard, or Microsoft to bring that back. Just it's let it die.
Well, that's true. I thought the same thing. Like I wanted for a long time, I wanted a Perfect Dark to come back. I saw that trailer they put out years ago. I was like, yeah, no, you keep it.
Also, a side note: you realize that Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice is now an exclusive.
Wait, what?
Oh, is
Sekiro.
That was
Sekiro is
an
now
exclusive
published it.
It's now would be an exclusive.
Oh,
to
yeah,
to
Activision
Microsoft.
published it. That's true.
Is
Yeah. I
Yo,
forgot
that's
about
crazy.
that. You're right.
Get my Tony Hawk on Steam Deck. That was on
Yeah,
it, 'cause
Tony Hawk.
1 and 2. It said it was announced for Epic and Steam, but it was timed exclusive for Epic, and they didn't say how long, and it just never came over to Steam. And then that studio got disbanded to do stuff for Call of Duty. So it was like, oh, we never got it. So hopefully now put a team on it or just port the damn thing over.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, they got a lot of these legacy IPs that are still pretty decent in popularity, like Tony Hawk, like a lot of the Blizzard games, World of Warcraft, anything that was Warcraft, StarCraft.
And
So
see, this is what we're talking about here. Like, I really hope that when this deal is said done, they have these meetings with higher ups from all these groups of the studios and says, all right, what are you working on? All right, you have nothing planned. Look at this back catalog that we have from all these other ones that are doing nothing. Review it over the weekend or whatever. Come back with an idea of there's one that you want to revive or work on. Let's do it, because all of them, Bethesda has a bunch of old games that we'd like to see brought back. Of course, Activision, we just brought up a bunch, and now they have all these studios, and some of them probably don't have any good idea what new direction to go in. I was like, here, can you revive any one of these?
Isn't a lot of like old like PlayStation 1 IPs are like, I know Manny mentioned which one did you mention, Manny? Sly Cooper?
Oh no, Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot.
They have Crash and Spyro the Dragon.
Spyro, that's the other one. Yep. So they have those old IPs as well.
They also own Way of the Warrior.
Oh,
They do, yeah.
Bring that back. Rob Zombie would be cool with it.
because essentially what happened was Activision bought all of the
Was that
Universal
Naughty Dog?
games. That's a Naughty Dog game.
Yeah.
Way of the
Warrior.
Microsoft now has Microsoft has two, so they can bring back Way of the Warrior if they ever wanted to.
Yeah, I remember that. Like,
Not that anybody would want it.
Man, he called me up. It was like a Friday. He was like, "Oh, guess what I got?" I was like, "What? I got way." I jumped on the train.
Jumped on a train.
I was blown away because they had white zombie music.
It literally has all of Las Exorcistas.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
On there, it's literally the whole album.
That was
awesome. Check this out. This I got a pretty sizable list of IPs that Microsoft now owns. They own Blur, Caesar. I don't know which one that is.
Wait, Blur. Remember, wasn't Blur an exclusive to PlayStation?
It was.
Oh,
yeah, I remember because hip hop liked that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So now it's exclusive to it's a Xbox title. Okay, keep going.
Oh wow.
Call of Duty, the obvious one. Candy Crush, not exclusive for 10 years. Candy Crush, which is the underrated one.
Oh yeah, that's a big money maker too.
That prints money, yeah.
Crash Bandicoot, as we talked about. Diablo, we've talked about. DJ Hero, no one cares. Empire Earth, Gabriel Knight.
Oh my God, the
Gabriel Knight, yeah.
The what is it? The point and click adventures.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I played those on PC years ago.
Yeah,
those were Sierra games.
They released a recent one pretty recently, not long ago.
Another game that I thought it was an Xbox game was Geometry Wars. That's a game I always associated to Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Because that was it was a arcade game. Remember the Wednesday Xbox Live arcade game? That was one of the early ones.
Guitar Hero, Gun, Hearthstone.
Oh wow, Gun!
Oh,
yeah, Gun.
Oh, Gun! Wow, I had that back on PS2.
I love that. I picked that up again for my Steam Deck just to play it on there. I'm a loser.
That was fun. Yeah, I love that game. I love just riding around.
I was a Red Dead Revolver man. While everybody's playing Gun, I'm the only one playing Revolver.
I mean, they got two Blizzard back-to-back, Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm. Probably gonna kill one of them. Hexen, Interstate 76, King's
That was
Quest,
fun.
King's Quest, yes. That they just released a title pretty not long ago for that.
Laura
That's a
Bow
classic one.
Mysteries.
Wait, say that again.
Laura Bow Mysteries. I don't know that one.
That sounds like a point and click adventure.
Yeah, it does. It really does. The Lost Vikings.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep.
was,
Well, Chris just mentioned that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gary Swaby.
Overwatch.
Yep. Well, Overwatch is a big deal.
That is
not
a big deal.
not the sequel. Not so many people like the sequel
Yeah.
that much.
But the franchise is a big deal.
The franchise
Because
is a
they
big
canceled all the campaign stuff they were going to do.
Phantasmagoria.
I've heard of
Oh
it.
wow, that's an old PC game
Yeah.
too. That's
That's an old
another
PC
point
game.
and click. Yeah.
Speaking of old, Pitfall,
That
Yep,
Manny
I
was
just
talking
mentioned
about
that.
Manny brought that up.
Police Quest.
Oh,
The
those
other
are
point and
fun.
click.
Yeah,
It's
those
like
are
King's
fun.
Quest. I played that.
A
Did they get
game
Space
a lot-
Quest too? Shit.
Space. Yes,
Shit,
they do
it's
have
all part
Space
of the
Quest as
same
well.
series.
Yep.
Yeah.
A game that people online have been clamoring about recently since the deal went through, Prototype.
Yeah,
Right.
but they
Then
do
people
own it.
wanted
Yeah,
to come back.
that was disappointing.
Dude, Prototype was just fun.
It wasn't
It was
Ultimate
like the
Destruction
Hulk.
though.
It
That's
was
the
taking
problem.
The Hulk. It was that was.
'Cause I was
What do
so
you mean
hy-
it was
I was so fucking hyped for that game, man. Because I love Hulk Ultimate Destruction. So I play this and it just the most generic fucking Resident Evil style monsters. The
Did
character
you
was
play
whack.
the first one or the second one?
I played the first
Played
one
both.
no, because the first one was so bad, I skipped the second one. You know?
Okay,
I thought you played
the
two.
second one is the one that plays like Hulk. The
Yeah.
first one is the one that plays like Infamous.
No, yeah, but that's the problem. I wanted, and it's funny. I got to go off on a tangent right now. So
No, I know what you're saying. I'm saying the thing that you
No,
want
no,
is
no.
in the game that you skipped, not the game
no,
you played.
no. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I played the first one, right? Here's the funny thing, because that Prototype, the first one, and Infamous literally came out around the same time, right? So my spider sense told, actually not a spider sense, it was just like, Hulk, this is based off of Hulk Ultimate Destruction. It's the same fucking team. I'm playing Prototype first. I was so disappointed. Then I played Infamous. I'm like, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff right there. You know?
Yeah. The first Prototype. I'm not gonna say the first Prototype. The first Prototype didn't feel like it knew what it was, and like it was coming up against Infamous. So like it just kind of felt like they toned it down. Like they didn't really understand where they wanted to go. And then during the second one, they're like, all right, we're not Infamous. We're Hulk Ultimate Destruction, and we're just going to lean into that shit. And
Yeah.
they did. And like neither one had a good story. Was like the problem.
Yeah, the
But
story
number
was
two-
stupid too. Yeah.
Number two, like if you were looking to just like throw tanks around and cause havoc, number two was your game. It was a ballet of destruction. It was fucking beautiful.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I never made it to part two because I was so disappointed with the first one. You know?
Yeah, well, the first one was sweaty edgelord the game.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. What was the guy's name? Alex Mercer or something? It's stupid. You know?
Something equally generic.
Yeah,
And yeah, you're just a guy with a bad attitude and a leather jacket and powers,
Yeah.
but you didn't want to be a hero. You were just going to be whatever you wanted to be. Like it was just, dude. It was so sweaty. It was
Yeah.
so sweaty.
The only thing, the only thing I liked about it was New York. That was dope. But yeah, the game was just fucking generic as, and the boss fights just went like the bosses just had like infinite health. They weren't difficult. They just took forever to beat. What a bad game that was. You know,
I mean,
What a
the second one
disappointment.
isn't much better. It's fuck. What is it? It's like, look at me. I'm Luke Cage with tentacles.
Yeah, and I remember that was also one of those games I played. That was like one of the early like games that had a platinum. So and I was still in my phase where I have to get the platinum. So I'm forcing myself to get the fucking platinum in this piece of shit game. What an awful experience that was. Fuck Prototype.
Was Activision? Did they publish the Marvel Alliance games?
They did.
Now, I want to say this though, Tony.
Yeah.
By today's standards, Prototype was a fucking masterpiece, which says some shit.
Is it though?
Dude, I feel like it.
I think we've had better games come out since that.
Forsaken or whatever.
Well, Forspoken's trash.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, but it's not the same type of game, you know.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, especially by a lot of today's standards.
I'm
I
glad
feel
you
like.
liked it. Anyway, Carlos, go on with the list, man.
So we have Quest for Glory, Singularity.
Oh wow! Remember that game, Singularity?
Snap.
Yeah,
That one.
Yeah, that's Brett's game right there.
Shout out to GameStop, Skylanders,
Yeah.
Soldier of Fortune.
I played that game.
Chris mentioned this game, Space Quest, part of that Quest series. Spyro the Dragon, we talked about that one. StarCraft.
But Carlos, do they have the Greek version of that game? Speedo the Dragon.
Speedo. He wants to be a hero.
You know?
Tenchu.
Oh, shit.
It says Tenchu Legacy.
Excuse me?
It says Legacy Games under that, so I don't know what that means.
Means the old Tenchus.
Yeah, probably the old Tenchus.
It's, I mean, they were the publisher of it, but I think, just because they still probably, From Software still owns the rights to it, though. So
Yeah. But real quick, Mob Hits goes, will Microsoft revive Star Wars 1313 now that they own Activision? Nope, because they don't own our Star Wars license.
To be honest, the way Lucasfilm was handing out Star Wars licenses not long ago, they were like, "You get a Star Wars, you get a Star Wars." It's not unheard of. But
the way Ubisoft explains it, it's you present a good idea to them and they'll listen, and that's how you get the license.
That's how you get it. So I mean, to be honest, that's also seems to be the way Marvel does theirs too. So hey, if Microsoft folks put their shit together, get their shit together and do a nice pitch, they can get a Star Wars.
What the hope? We all agree one hope. Let's put that petition.
Now to be honest, and that was the whole idea behind 1313 was a more adult sort of side of
very inspired by Uncharted.
So we'll see, like if they can pull again, like if that's the way that they work it, then put something together, get yourself a Star Wars game.
Keep going.
Last couple of ones: Time Shift, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which we talked about.
Yep.
True Crime.
Oh,
wow!
There you go.
They can resurrect. They literally okay. Right now they have their own. They have two Uncharted. They have two Uncharted likes. They have a Souls like, and they have what was the last one?
True Crime.
And a GTA like.
The dude had a sale.
World of Warcraft, which doesn't get talked about as much as I feel like it
one.
And
the OG, yeah.
Well, I guess it's just Warcraft in general.
Yeah, Warcraft,
the ogres,
Warcraft. And then the last one is Zork.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Good stuff. All right, moving on here. Next question from Mr. Bob Hits. This is an interesting one. Does Bobby Kotick really need to go? Allegations and drama aside, he's made a shit ton of money for the company over the years. Where could he fit within the organization without being in the spotlight? He's fucking gone, dude.
He's gone.
He got his golden parachute.
It doesn't matter how much he's done for the company. He is toxic when it comes to like public shit. So he's gone. He's fucking
what
gone.
happened with him?
You don't know.
No, somebody clue me in. I knew he
Brad,
left.
you're fucking trolling right now, dude, with the sexual harassment allegations and all that stuff.
They had the audio tape.
We talked about this on the show.
He wanted to kill her. I'm going to kill her.
I think he keeps the thumbs out when he chokes women.
Yeah, no, that guy is too publicly, they don't want that anymore. He's gone.
Brett, we're literally talking about the Harvey Weinstein of gaming. You didn't know this?
You were here for those episodes.
He's literally the Harvey Weinstein of gaming.
I must not be connecting some dots or something.
Yeah.
You must have thought of another Kotick.
Yeah, no, but that's a good way of putting it. It's the Harvey Weinstein of gaming.
He's the Harvey Weinstein of video games.
Yeah.
And then on top of being a slimy scumbag, even before that,
Oh yeah.
What was it? Him that his wife went on a retreat and never came back?
No, that's the dude from Scientology.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, but Bobby Kotick. I mean, we've covered Bobby Kotick extensively over the 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah,
Remember the thing with the stewardess?
Yeah, what happened, Brett?
I was thinking of Major Nelson. Sorry.
Yeah, Bobby Kotick. Bobby Kotick. We've talked about him for ever since.
Those two mixed.
Yeah.
Total
Shout out to Brian. Brian has hated him for decades at this point.
Yeah, we've talked about, but we've not liked Bobby Kotick since Throwdown began because the guy said,
no, I was thinking of Major Nelson, not
Bobby
Kotick, the main guy of fucking Blizzard. Yeah, dude, that fucking dude. Yeah, they're distancing themselves from him as much as possible.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
There is no amount of goodwill that undoes what that man did.
Yep. There you go. So, all right, that's what he's doing. He's done.
That's the biggest bright side of all this.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, from the industry. Good.
Well, that might be one of the big reasons they put Blizzard up for sale. Like,
well, that is exactly why. You know,
it was so bleeding. The stocks were going down. Everybody was hating on them, and they were like, "All right, we're out." The shareholders were like, "We're done."
Yeah, that is exactly why they had to put themselves up for sale because of that guy. You know,
indirectly.
Yeah. Let's just be honest.
Indirectly, like it is. Like we are here. Microsoft is owning the company because of the shit that this guy pulled.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, for a second I thought you guys said that. Like, I have no idea why, but my fucking weird ass brain went like, "What did Major Nelson do?"
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Major Nelson, man, retiring from Xbox or leaving Xbox.
He's just leaving. He's not being thrown out for doing horrible things.
Well, my theory is that he might be caught up in the latest round of Microsoft layoffs.
It could be.
But that's just theory, not exactly tinfoil because they did announce it.
Yeah.
When the layoffs come, like they take volunteers for the guillotine first.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So he may have went like, all right, I'm good.
I'll hit the break.
I mean, he's been a Microsoft.
He'll replace Jim Ryan
for a while. So,
yeah, he's been a lifer.
Like here's the thing: when you volunteer for that guillotine, you get 2 golden parachutes. Like that's how they get you. They're like, okay, who wants to volunteer for layoffs? There's a sweet ass benefit and severance package.
Yeah,
it is significantly better than if you get picked to leave. Like I know this from knowing people who have gone through these kinds of deals before. Like offering yourself to be picked up, like that's almost like the really good opportunity. Like the second that you hear that layoffs are coming, there's going to be this sweet first round of just ridiculous severance packages until that money runs out, and then everybody else just gets straight up laid off. But if you're lucky enough to be one of those people that hears about it soon enough and jumps on that ship, like you can get like for normal people, you can get like 6-8 months more than that of just straight up severance pay, along with like a leaving bonus and continuation of healthcare. Like I've known motherfuckers to like ride that shit for 2 years.
It's a buyout.
Yeah, and so like you talk about that up in the higher echelons where like you get the real golden parachutes, like, bro, that's the difference between like $50 million and $70 million a year for the rest of your fucking life.
This was planned because if you remember, he always does that. Well, he used to do those Fridays inside Xbox videos, and now they have some girl doing it. He stopped doing them, and he stopped doing a lot of other things. So I think this was just
he's been
coming.
In general, he's been slowly but surely stepping away. I mean, it's disappointing to see him go. I mean, you know, Tony, Adam, you remember back in the day when he used to do those meetups and say, "Hey, I would be at this bar," and you know,
he sent me a message. The game, it was a Pac-Man tournament. They were coming to town. And he's like, "Hey, if anybody wants to go and be part of it, just send me an email." I sent him an email, so I'd like to do it. Poof, he said, "You're on the list, free, go."
Yeah, so I mean, he sort of put a little more of a face on the faceless sort of company, right? Like I feel like, and I think that a lot of the early Xbox promotion was like that, was attempting to be like, okay, we're not the other guys, we'll actually talk to you, you know, sort of like that. So and even to an extent, even Sony sort of took suit with that, right? They sort of started doing like at least the PlayStation 3 era of regime started being a little bit more open, you know, where all the executives, you know, who are a part of those departments would look like they would actually communicate with the people, you know.
So do you guys think he stays in the industry after? Because he says it's got future plans. The next chapter of his life is how he put it.
Yeah, I mean, he may. Who knows?
I mean, like what did he do before? He was
worked in the corporate world, but his dream was always to go back to radio because he did that in college.
Yo,
That's why I started the podcast.
I'm not too, I don't feel too strongly on this, so I'm not gonna bust Miss Cleo on this. But I feel like he's a prime candidate to join like Kind of Funny crew.
Really?
I don't know.
I can definitely see him doing his own show. I could see him doing his own channel just for
the Spencer Report. I mean, not the Spencer report. The
Nelson,
the Herb report. The
Larry
Herb. The Major Nelson report. I could,
Major Nelson report.
I could see him definitely doing
Major Nelson from Ground Control or something.
No, Bob Hits. We will not have Bobby Kotick as a member of Throwdown. Fuck that.
Why would we want that on our show?
Yeah, that's just a weird ask.
Yeah, like that.
Nobody wants that.
Let's just invite Harvey Weinstein to your place and see how you feel.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Next question from Mr. Bob Hits. Will we get another PlayStation showcase / state of play before the year ends? Probably.
State of play for sure.
I mean, maybe something that'll be around the Tokyo Game Show / what's the Gamescom era stuff. I feel like they sort of do it around those times,
which would be soon then. But yeah.
Wait, real quick, Carlos, that was it. True Crime was the last one.
Warcraft.
It was Zork.
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 Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to say about PlayStation? Who knows? We'll probably get something. Whatever.
Yeah. It definitely. It seems like they have the same sort of phases. So I'm like, possibly something that will go within the Tokyo Game Show slot. Possibly something that'll go in the what do they call it? in the Gamescom slot, just so they look like they're showing something.
Probably going to show off more about that little handheld, the screen device thing that they have coming.
They should cancel that shit right away.
Yeah, what a waste.
It's
the memes afterwards. It was like, guess what? I have that device already, and it was just showing their phones.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Moving on here. Next question. Logic wins. All right. With rumors of a Last of Us 2 PlayStation 5 re-release coming, would you react positively or negatively if Sony released a trailer revealing that a certain character's death will now be a choice given to the player in the form of a branching story path? I wouldn't care because I'm done with this franchise, so I don't give a shit.
Whoa.
I'm done with this franchise.
Wait a minute.
I'm not saying anything new, by the way. I've been saying this for like a year now.
But the thing about it,
the
thing about it, that character's death literally changes the whole course of the game. You literally have to have like two alternate version of the game.
It's a different
game.
It's
not a remake anymore, right? No. And here's the thing, and I'm just speaking purely for myself. That wasn't my problem with the game. That incident you're talking about, that was my problem. But the thing is, what I would want them to change would also radically alter the game. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a certain half of the game
too long
that just no, get rid of that character, but so that's what I'm gonna say. But in general, I'm done with the franchise. I'm done with I'm done with that shit. I'm done with these fucking Walking Dead ripoff fucking I'm done, so I don't care. They could change whatever the hell they want. But like motherfuckers, Carlos, where Miss Cleo at? I believe this rumor. We've been telling you motherfuckers they will have a Last of Us 2 remaster. It's happening.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen.
Miss Cleo,
it's gonna happen. They're gonna if they did one, they're gonna do another two to fill in that space between whatever game they got in the thing.
That's already know.
That's the go-to, because nowadays it takes just to fill in space. Now they just remake old games.
Yeah.
Or give them new HD. Even though you can't really call that Last of Us game really a remake, it's only just a reskin.
It's a reskin. Yeah.
Didn't stop them from calling it though.
Which they shouldn't be.
The thing is,
because to be honest, like a remake means a reimagining. They didn't remake anything. The game plays exactly the same as it did when it originally came out.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Manny. Technically, It actually is a remake, and I'll explain why, right? By the way, I agree with everything you're saying, but I'm saying this is how they can explain it. Because they took all the original assets and remade them for the PS5. So in that way, it's technically a remake, but let's just be real here.
That's like calling the Last of Us, the Shadow of the Colossus a remake. It's not a remake.
Yeah,
it's
even though they do call it a remake, though.
Yeah, but it's not a remake at all.
Yeah,
because it's still using it's still using all of the original game underneath it, so underneath the hood. So theoretically,
by the way, I'm just giving you the other side of the argument. It's a fucking remaster.
Yeah, it's a remaster.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Alpha Chuck, who's been hanging out with us tonight. We now have further evidence of the Series S holding Xbox back this generation with no official release date for Baldur's Gate 3. Although reportedly Microsoft is aiding Larian Studios to make it happen. Do you think there is a point where Xbox has to concede and pass on certain titles on the Series S, or will their hubris not allow them to admit this is a problem? Listen, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Put these games streaming on Xbox, and that's how you circumvent it. And I said at the beginning, yes, I understand that the Series S is the best-selling console the Xbox has right now, but they never should have released that piece of shit. It is holding game development back, as a lot of developers have said. That thing should not have been released at all. But now they're stuck with it. So what do you do? So what they should do is stop developing games for it and just, hey, you own an Xbox Series S? Get Xbox Game Pass, stream this game. And that's it,
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I do believe that they shouldn't have released it, but to be honest, it is the pricing is helping.
It is. Yeah,
is that helping that thing? And to be honest, like they just like how Sony won't give up that PlayStation 4. They're not going to give up their Series S as long as that thing is making
that's the
money.
problem.
I want to see.
Real quick. Brett, what's up? You were
I want to say Baldur's Gate. That's the reason Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out later on Xbox than it is on PlayStation, because they're trying to figure out how to actually accommodate for the Series X. It is actually only a back. It's not hyperbole what Tony's saying. There's examples of this.
Yeah, it is literally holding games back. So again, I've been against this console since the jump, and there's a reason why.
I got a question when you guys are done with this.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam. You're going to go next.
Yeah, I want to know what's under for the black one, because they're really pushing it. Besides the space, the main issue with Baldur's Gate and a few others is the lack of memory on it. So if they just
processing power.
If they can tweak a little more under the hood, and they've done this before. They did this with the 360 Elite. They did this also with when we got the S for the Xbox One. Remember, that had a little more that could do proper 4K and stuff. So I'm wondering if that's what they're hoping for. This will address those issues, and then everybody will eventually just upgrade to that model.
No, they're not, Adam. They're straight up said it doesn't have enough power. They're having to basically change the way the game is built for the Xbox to get it to run on that version. Like they're trying to figure out a way like it can't load as much data, so they have to like cleverly hide things like being not rendered off screen more in the Xbox version, right? And it's not so much that it can't be done. It's more that the way that they designed the game, that Series X version is the only thing requiring it. So like that's saying like, yeah, like it may need a hex core 2.5 gigahertz processor to actually run. But like if we tweak it, can we get it running on a dual core laptop 2 gigahertz processor? Like the answer is no. Like no. Like can you fit 12 cubic feet in 8 cubic feet of space?
What's so special about this game?
Baldur, like games that have a lot of choice and a lot of moving components. They have a lot to keep
Adam,
track
it's not about the graphics of this game. There's so much. It has to keep track of so many dialogue choices, so many branching paths and shit. Like, there's a lot in this game. So it kind of makes sense that the Xbox Series S can't handle it, There's a lot of shit. It's not about the graphics. It's about all the stuff that we've been talking about, how we kind of want in games, like infinite choices, basically. This has a lot of shit, So that's what's going on there.
As somebody who plays building games, like, this shit pisses me off all the time when people are like, oh, just, it's fine. It's the same thing. I was like, y'all don't understand. Like, if I'm building in a building game, right? Like, because I'm playing Valheim, literally right this second. So let's use this as an example, right? In Valheim, every single time I put a piece of anything down, a little wooden end, a block, a wall, a fucking tower, whatever, every single piece in that requires a piece of processing power and memory. To the point where when I start building massive projects, I need to start asking myself, man, can this work with one piece? Or like, can I make this piece out of 3 pieces, but can I make it more efficient? Can I get this to build the same with less? Like, do I need to build a window and then frame it out? Because that's like 8 extra pieces, man. And those 8 extra pieces, like, they fucking add up in terms of processing power. By the time, my whole fucking tower's done, 8 pieces per window, 35 windows per tower, 4 fucking towers. Now, I really need to worry about, like, fuck, this is causing my game to lag. It's causing my game to slow down. It's causing my game to render in. So now every time I come back from venturing out in the fucking forest, I get to slowly see my castle pop in piece by piece.
Oh my
And it's fucking stupid. And, like, so, like, there are things about games out right now. And, like, these aren't even cutting-edge games. Like, if you look at Valheim, you're like, this is not pushing anything at all. Because it can't.
Vampire game? Isn't it the vampire game?
No, it's the Viking game.
But I thought there was a vampire building game also that's like this, that you do vampire stuff during the day and then you build.
Yeah, V Rising. Yeah. Dude, I want that.
All right.
That game looks dope. But, like, because I like these games that are very processor heavy, I recognize this shit. So people are like, oh yeah, no, PlayStation works fine. It's like, no! Like, bro, the last Xbox, when Minecraft came out, the Xbox couldn't handle Minecraft. I'm like, that is not okay. It is not okay. The only reason that people are okay with it is because game developers have gotten really clever about, like, having you do very little, but making it look very shiny and pretty. And that's great, because that's what some people fucking love. But, like, if you, I hate to say it like this, if you play games with more substance or moving parts, like, a game with, like, say, destructible environments or a voxel-based building game or something like that, like, all that stuff is actually there. Like, that's one of the cool things about Bethesda games. Everything you see is actually there. It's not window dressing that you can't interact with. Look, if there's a door, it's not a door that's been painted there. It's not a door that's just an asset so that you have decoration to a hallway. There's a room behind that door. Maybe nothing in there, but it's cool that there's a fucking room. It's cool that the whole world is something I can interact with, because, I hate it when I'm playing through games and I'm like, wow. So basically, there's just, like, a path ahead of me. It's a very pretty path, but, like, you could just look up at the mini-map and pretty much get the same amount of information. Diablo and Final Fantasy are both guilty of it. Do I really need to see all the pretty graphics running around the overworld in Final Fantasy? No, because none of it fucking matters. But I can do the exact same, but just by looking at the mini-map. And it's, to me, that's a bit of a letdown. I like interacting with stuff. I like looking at things and looking at the environment. And, like, we can't have environmental storytelling because people don't even look at the fucking environment anymore. And I know I'm going off on a bit of a rant here, but, like, this shit matters. It does. It's not just about, like, oh, we can just dumb it down, make it a little less shiny, turn the graphics, everything's fine. Like, no, some of these games fundamentally don't work. And if you flip that equation backwards, that means that there are some games which fundamentally won't work on this type of hardware setup. And as long as this type of hardware setup is the main thing that we are getting as a gaming industry, we're never going to see other types of games. There are other types of video games than the ones that we play. PC players know this, but, like, a lot of console gamers, like, that there are, like, a bunch of different genres that you've never even played because they can't play it on console. Like, that's one of the reasons, like, real-time strategy games aren't real huge, because, like, you can't play them on consoles. A lot of games, like, Valheim made it to console. Some building games kind of make it to console, but they're always these gimped out versions. They never work as well, and they're never as expansive, and they always have a fucking build limit on them. Like, if we had the power of PCs for consoles, we could do so much more. But the fucking problem is, we're not willing to pay for them. Bro, I just looked at PCs. That shit is, like, just for your graphics card. Just your graphics card. If you want it to be anything north of okay, right? You're looking $700 for your graphics card alone. And we have people in this industry who are like, I don't want to buy both consoles. Do you know how much money that is? Like, we're trying to have our cake and eat it too. And like, it put a lot of this into perspective for me. And I'm kind of jumping on the tangent a little early here, but like looking at Prime days at computer parts, like it really hammered in like, dude, hardware has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And consoles, like, I don't know where we're going to be at the beginning of next generation, because we're going to be demanding $500 consoles for, like, we're going to get such shitty consoles. We're not going to move forward in processing power at all, because, like, the price ceiling has risen. And if we're only willing to spend $600 for a console, bro, do you know the kind of laptop you can get for $600? It's laughable. Tony knows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What? So behind the scenes stuff, I'm asked about every 3 or 4 months, can you make a cheap gaming laptop post? And I have to explain why gaming laptops under $1,000 are shit. Like, you don't want to, I would not recommend that to anybody, So, yeah, no, I get it. Like, literally my job is like, people are like, hey, I want a gaming laptop for $600. I'm like, okay, bruh. That ain't happening.
I want you to shove 10 pounds of shit in this 5-pound bag. You can't do it.
It's literally like that episode of The Simpsons where Principal Skinner's mom, she goes to the grocery store. All right, I want all my groceries in this bag, and I don't want the bag to be too heavy. Like, this doesn't work, Oh man, but yeah, that's how it is now. I don't even remember what the original question was. Oh yeah, Series S ass. Fuck that console.
I went off why Series S is the reason we can't have fucking nice things.
Yeah, let's go with that. Fuck the Series S.
And can we just point out that I went off on like a 10-minute tirade about why Microsoft is holding the gaming industry back for all the people in the chat that think that I just fucking love everything Microsoft does?
They're not going to hear that. They're not going to remember that. You're just a fanboy.
Nah, they went to make a sandwich.
You're just a fanboy, All right, moving on here. Where the fuck are we? All right. Last couple, actually, we still got a lot of questions. 4 questions, and they're not related to any of this bullshit. So this is good. This is already good. These are evergreen questions, fun questions. Tumeke starts us off here. As far as we know, the Switch is into its last year, and is finishing the way it started with New Zelda and New Mario. This got me thinking: what system do you think had the greatest lineup for its last year on the market before being replaced? This is a personal preference, so no right or wrong answers. So yeah,
PlayStation 3.
PlayStation 3 went out with a bang, you think?
Yeah, with Last of Us.
Last of Us and
so some other game I remember playing. I was like, right toward the end. I'm blanking, but definitely The Last of Us. That was a very strong title, and that was at the tail end.
Yeah. But what else? We got to come up with some more titles than that, though.
Trying to think. It's been so long.
Because if we do that, then I could just be like, okay, PS2 because they had God of War 2,
PlayStation 4 because it had God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring.
That's right. You're not even wrong, though.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean,
I feel like that's cheating, but you're fucking right.
You're technically right, man.
Yeah, it's difficult because it's hard to pinpoint when the exact year was and when it came out. I mean, the PlayStation 2 just kept going forever.
Yeah.
Like God of War 2 we mentioned, but the only reason we mentioned God of War 2 is because it came out the same year as the PlayStation 3. But it was still a PlayStation 2 game. But the PlayStation 2 was still going on long after God of War 2 came out.
Yeah,
they're still showing it in E3 stages. So yeah, it's a pretty difficult question. I will say, if I can cheat, PlayStation 4 with these Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. I mean, that's crazy. That's a crazy lineup. Even though I think they stopped selling PS4s a while ago.
Right. Anybody else consoles that went out with a bang.
Consoles that went out of the bang. That's a hard one.
It is a very hard one. Because
you know what? I would say PlayStation 2.
It did, yeah.
At the end of PlayStation 2, so many games got released. That's like God of War 2. You know,
well, last year he's talking about.
Oh, last year.
Yeah.
What, the consoles that went out of a bang last year.
Yeah, with that where its final year was like awesome. A little bit of a tough one, ain't it?
It's got to be more with the PS3 because remember, for the longest time,
well, no,
360 was winning with the sales and stuff, and the PS3 came back toward the end and just destroyed it. So it's got to be other big games besides the last one that came out toward the tail end of it. Just blanking on which ones.
Yeah, we could look it up. 2013, right?
Yeah.
Even though the PS4 was still going for like another 2 or 3 years after that. Anybody else? Oh, I'm gonna take that as a no. So
that's a hard one.
Yeah, we'll move on then, since we can't come up with anything. All right. With fighting games and brawlers having a bit of a resurgence in popularity at the moment, I would say a lot of resurgence. To be honest, fighting games are bigger now than they were even back in the golden age. What is another style of game that has been largely ignored of late that you would like to see make a comeback?
Music games, My Guitar Hero.
There you go.
I like those. Those were fun. They were fun. So bring those back. They don't have to be with the whole subscription service and all that. Just bring some fun ones and then just let it sit for a while. Not every year. Don't need one every year. That's what killed it. Oversaturation. We had a Van Halen. We had a Metallica one. We had all these other ones. Too much. So I'd like that. Bring that back. It's a good party game. I still have the drums and stuff every once in a while.
Let's test shoot 'em ups. Yeah, man. Shoot 'em ups aren't really a thing anymore.
Shmups?
Yeah, shmups. Yeah. They're not a thing anymore.
No.
I know Platinum
there's
Games
a
released
few-
one pretty recently.
There's some indie ones like Enter the Gungeon and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Too.
The last one I remember was it was on PS4, I believe. It's a launch game. Forget the name of it though. That was fun. It was like you were going around in a circle and shit.
I'm hoping for the resurgence of MMOs in the next couple of years, man.
No.
MMOs haven't gone away though.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple that have been hanging on for like a decade to 12. Like the biggest MMOs right now have been out for 10, 12 years. Do you realize that?
Yeah. What's the latest? Like the latest one I know is like that Black something.
I mean, like, no, here's the thing. Anything other than Final Fantasy and Elder Scrolls Online has died on the vine.
Again, I'm thinking about this one Korean game, like Black Desert.
Black Desert?
Yeah.
Yeah, it tried real well. Like it did. Like,
did it die?
There's a lot of Korean games.
It's still around.
NCSoft does this thing.
Wait, it's still going
around.
on though, so it counts.
It's not very well populated.
But Brad, you can't. It's still a game that people play, dude. It's still new.
Yeah, people are still playing Conan Exiles. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it still gets updates.
Yeah, and again, like I mean,
people move on.
Yeah.
Like,
So
the
I
game
think you
can't
need
stay
to
popular
just-
forever.
Yeah, Brett. So you need to redefine it because new MMOs are still coming out. So you know what I'm saying? So you need to kind of.
they're not, and that's kind of thing though. Not really. No, the same ones have mostly been hanging on for many years. That's my point.
Conan Exiles isn't like.
Conan Exiles is super old.
Yeah, isn't it like 5 or 6 years old?
No, it's like 10 years old, bro.
Damn, Conan Exiles. I'm gonna look this.
I mean,
shit up.
look.
No, Conan Exiles is Conan Exiles is at least 5-6 years old now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still updating Star Trek Online.
But
Danny and I were roommates.
2000
Man
yeah.
used to watch me play that shit.
Yeah.
It's been around forever. They still update it.
Yeah.
well, yeah, and that's but I mean that's kind of my
You sound
point.
better
Like,
now.
We're talking about
Yeah.
when we're talking about like games or genres that are underserved. When you're like, no, this game came out 10 years ago. It's still around. Like
Conan
that's not
Exiles
really
came out in 2017, by the way.
okay, so 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not a survival game. That's not an MMO. That's an online
Yeah,
survival.
you're right.
Division, it came out how long ago? Like
That's not really an
2016?
MMO though.
They listed as an MMO. It's listed as an MMO.
That shit
And
doesn't count.
You
Yeah,
still
I don't
have
count
global events, and you have all the gear and management.
I'm curious.
No,
about
it's a looter shooter. Those
I
are different.
wish it was. Then I wouldn't have to deal with all the global events.
Right. So this article is from January 2023. 18 upcoming MMO games.
And that's why I say I'm excited. There's actually a bunch that are coming out.
That's good.
There's a bunch of trash in that list.
Yeah.
And also, NCSoft does this thing where it hypes up a game, and then like it comes out and it releases, and it's like big for 2 months, and then it fucking dies, and it just leaves it to go start the next thing. Like it was doing like literally it made Black Desert, and then they're doing like, and we're doing Red Desert. Now they're doing another game now before I want to say Red Desert even came out. Sometimes they do this shit so fast, it's literal vaporware. So like that's what I'm saying. Like anything announced by NCSoft, like I'm hesitant about. This new one, I think it was them and Amazon. So maybe since they're tied to somebody else, they can't really just abandon that shit like a dad going out for cigarettes. But like I'm really hesitant towards anything that they fucking do, man. But that's the thing. It's always good. It's always fun. I forget. Ever since it was like the fucking MMO where you had fucking wings, like Valiant or something, and that shit's still around. It's still on. They just stopped doing stuff for it. They just one day they're like, oh no, you can still log on. Like, oh yeah, you guys made new content or done a new thing or supported or patched it or balanced it. No. There are servers still around for it though. Like there's a couple up. And that's how MMOs aren't put to bed. They're just kind of left there until only 12 people play them. And then 20 years later, there's one sad article about how they're shutting down the last server. But they're going to make a community event that pulls together to try and keep it up. And it never fucking happens. It's always this real sad, cynical thing to watch happen, man. So yeah, I want to see some new stuff made. And like, things are looking good. There's like 4 to 6 really good things on the horizon, which I'm excited about, and I'm hoping it comes back.
Cool. All right. Anybody else genres you want to come back? Right. Yeah. My answer would have been side-scrolling beat 'em ups, but we had a lot of those lately, and I'm very happy about that.
Well,
yeah, and we got even more plug because there's the Toxic Avenger.
That's crazy to me.
The Toxic Crusaders one that was announced, and they have a demo on Steam, which I played on our channel yesterday. Playing games, good stuff.
All right, moving on here. Which generation do you think you spent the most amount of money in? This includes consoles, games, and peripherals. I'll exclude PC since there are no generations. This is true. Who gives a fuck about PC? If Brian was here, that'd be even funnier. What generation did you spend the most money on? Probably the PS3 era, you know?
Really?
Yeah, I think that's the one I went ham in. It's a tie between PS2 and PS3 now that I think about it, because that's when I actually had money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also when you were buying all your games.
Yeah, and that was the convergence of money and time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because ironically enough, when I became a game journalist, I had less time to play games. Plus, the PS4 era was,
yeah, but if you count the PS4, I count the PS4 because you got the PS4. Then I wound up getting the Pro. Then I wound up getting big hard drives for both of them.
Yeah, I don't count internal.
Then I also got externals for both of them. So if that's still within the same.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, this answer's for you, Adam, for sure. Yeah,
that adds up. PS4 then.
Yeah. For me, it was either PS2 or PS3. Probably PS3. I bought a lot of games during that era. You know.
I would probably say PS2.
Yeah.
For me.
The reason I can't say, I just realized I can't say PS2 because Manny and I had a friend called Navarro who used to hook me up with some games. Wink, wink. If you know what I mean.
I still bought games because I didn't like the way that, I didn't like having to pull the tray open and all that other shit. There's only one game that I actually owned, like that I had, that was using that trick that Navarro had, and that was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and that was it. That's the only one I had did it. So I mean, I still ended up like. I look at my, my PlayStation 2 of amount of games that I had. And there's a lot more than there are PlayStation 3 games.
Yeah.
But that also makes sense because it is around the time that my work life got a lot more busy. When I I've been working freelance for obviously for even ever since I was in junior high, not junior high in high school. So, but things got really busy in around 2005 2006, and that also coordinates with the last RPG that I played, which was Rogue Galaxy. So around that era, PlayStation going into PlayStation 3 era, I also didn't buy nearly as many games, even though I could afford it.
Yeah.
Just didn't have the time.
Yeah. Carlos, what console generation did you spend the most money on or in?
Even though it wasn't my favorite, I think it's gonna have to be. Oh no. 360. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
360, PS3, Nintendo Wii. I think PS4 comes close. The reason why it does, even though there weren't as many games as I liked on that generation, is that's when I after I graduated school, and I got a full-time job. So that's when I had a more expendable income. But but I think it is 360 because I think that's just when I played the most video games ever, like in my lifetime.
Nice. Brett, which console generation did you spend the most money in?
Oh, PS3, 360. I had all those plus a new computer. Yeah, like that was when
I'm noticing a pattern here.
Well, dude, I think for a lot of us, at least definitely for me, that was the point where my career was starting to make it so it was there were still some rough days, but I'm almost hesitant to say this PS4 though, because technically I'm still spending money on it, even though I have a PS5 because I'm just buying PS4 games with it, right? But I also now have more money in my career than I did before. The older we get, the more financially comfortable we get for the most part. So it becomes easier to spend the money on that, and you can buy nicer shit. So
yeah.
I don't know, man.
I think that's fair. Chris, what about you?
I have the same answer because at that time, I was playing a ton on 360, and I repaired and bought multiple systems because two of my 360s overheated. I bought a bunch of PS3, and I was working at Nintendo at the time, so I had a huge Wii library as well.
Nice. Doommaker also says that was his era as well, PS3, 360. All right, final question of the night from Mr. Jolly Yellow Nerd. He goes, I know some of you have turned your backs on Nintendo, but is there anything Nintendo could do with their next console that could convince you to at least give them another look? I wouldn't expect a single new console to make you love Nintendo again. I'm just wondering if you give it a second look. In my case, it'd be a third look. No, I'm done. Just for context, right? So I stopped messing with Nintendo after the SNES era because they just weren't really doing anything for me. The controls were really bad. I just didn't care.
You still got a Switch. You still want
no. But Adam, you didn't finish. Let me tell the story here, right? So that was the last time I got a Nintendo anything until the 3DS, which was 10 years later. And then when the Switch was announced and they had the Pro Controller, I'm like, okay, they actually have a control I can actually use, But, we saw what happened with that. Horrible graphics, kiddie games. So even if they give me a actual powerful console, it's still going to be Nintendo games. And I tried, guys. I've just outgrown that shit. I outgrew it 30 years ago, to be honest. So I gave it a college try again. Didn't work. So no, I will not be spending my money on Nintendo. Don't care.
To be honest, I think the last Nintendo. I mean, I guess the DS was the last thing that I owned. DS came after the Wii, right?
Yeah.
No, it came before.
Okay, before.
So yeah, I guess it'd be the Wii was the last thing that I owned. I mean, to be honest, like I only really owned it because of a couple of games, like Mario Galaxy and stuff. But there's nothing really calling me to a Nintendo right now. Like it's like okay, I don't really. That's something I really need in my life right now. So I mean, it's been like that for quite a while. So I mean, I think I skipped the Nintendo 64. I skipped the what is it the GameCube, and then I bought the Wii because essentially it was a GameCube. And I played GameCube games, but I found that the titles that I didn't play for GameCube weren't really that worth it. Metal Gear was it GameCube was kind of a shitty game.
Twin Snakes?
Twin Snakes,
terrible,
yeah. It was a pretty bad game. Like it's just not right. Anyway, but yeah, I as far as the new consoles, it's just not really. Like, I'm not really interested in their handheld or console or whatever the hell you want to call that thing. There's nothing on there that I can't. The thing, as far as third parties, there's nothing. Why would I play an inferior version of a game? When I can play it on a console that can actually handle it. Even a PlayStation 4 could probably handle it a lot better than the actual Switch. And as far as the Nintendo titles, I'm like, I don't really need them. It's like Mario will be there, till the end of time, doing his thing. And I feel like once you played one, you played them all. So I'm good. Don't need it.
Yeah. Adam, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get the next Nintendo, right?
Depend.
He's got a Nintendo already. It's called Steam Deck.
Yeah.
It also depends on what you could do with the device. Yeah, those games, and if you can carry things over, because my kids still play a lot of the older Mario.
Well, they're notorious for not carrying things over.
I know, and that's going to be it's a big one. That's a big one. I wonder if the fans be willing to cut that cord when they announce, hey, this is coming out, and you can't play any of these, and this is where you're going to get your Mario Kart 9.
I feel like to be honest, that a lot of the Nintendo has their fans, at a point where they don't question if anything is not available. Maybe a small sect of them say, "Oh man, I really want to play that Excite Bike," but for the most part, I feel like everybody just accepts they just accept what Nintendo gives them.
Yeah, but those people should have grown up and have kids and know how it works with kids. And it's like, well, they like to keep playing stuff, so now you're gonna have multiple things connected. That's and that question's gonna be like, how come I can't do all of these on here?
Dude, it's sad. It's sad to say, but I feel like if they think they can get some money out of you, they'll make you buy it again, like they are doing right now. They made you buy Mario Kart 8 twice. They made you buy, rather than.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. It makes sense if they put this on their online server. It's like, hey, this is how it works for backward compatibility. If you got the digital versions, that's now carried over if you're online.
But the thing is that they obviously, even when they close down stores, they're just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, well, the problem is they need to stop identifying your purchases to your system, and it has to be to an account. That's why it works for Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah,
it's your account, right?
You can transfer over your PlayStation 4 or Xbox titles to the next iteration. Yeah. Unlike Nintendo, they have to close down the store and then make you buy everything again. But Nintendo fans don't even question that. They just let it go. They're like, all right, whatever.
The Switch should be on. Like they're using cloud stuff. It should be locked to your account, but they're still locking the stuff to your system. That's stupid. Because if that system gets damaged or whatever, you lost all your content, or it gets stolen.
Yep. And to be honest, they're not thinking that far. They're also not looking at what everybody's doing. So but then again, nobody's really not many people are complaining about these issues. People still say these things, but everybody's just like, shut up. You're getting your Mario games. We're getting our Mario games, whatever. So I think I'm thinking that their Nintendo fans are just primed to accept whatever whatever Nintendo gives them. and whenever they do give them something, that they've already had before, they start fainting, in a Nintendo Direct. Oh my God, I love this game so much, it's back. When it was on like if they do another Twilight Princess again, put it out again. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's back. It's like, what, couldn't you just made it so that we had it out all the time? No, you got to buy it again. So,
Nintendo.
Yeah, it's Nintendo for you, and I guess the crack is good because it makes you forget about everything else. So whatever.
Yeah, Chris, what about you?
I mean, I never left it. I mean, I have a Switch.
That's right. Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of games I play on it. My Kristen just beat Zelda. She beat Tears of the Kingdom. So we still actively play. The things I mentioned before that Mary was talking about. The main thing Nintendo needs to improve is their infrastructure. Like, your games need to follow you, not your system. You make a digital purchase, they need to carry over. I had to mention this too. Like, there needs to be follow through with the systems. It can't just be like, oh, that was on the Switch. Well, we have this whole new shit and it's using crystals now. And then, we don't even read SD cards or CDs anymore. Fuck that. It's like, no, you need some consistency. You need whatever, succeeds the Switch has to allow you to, like, hey, I have this whole library on here. What good is it now? It's like, well, you want me to buy Nintendo Switch Online so I could play the games I already bought the last time? Like, no, fuck that. You need to carry stuff over to the next system. And it's not like a question like I'm never going to wish cast that Nintendo's going to be like, have a powerful system. That ain't going to happen.
Not happening.
So, it's the experience, right? But it's like, hey, I have this library over here and I want to continue to play it. So you're telling me I'm stuck in the last generation because you moved to a whole new format and all this other shit and I can't play my old library anymore. And it's like, whoa, you could buy it again? No, I'm not doing that. That's when you lose me.
And this is where it gets tricky because the rumor is that we're going to hear about this for next year, right? Like, this is it. Well, they just released that Tears of the Kingdom. People, they're going to be cool with just having to go and buy another one if they want to upgrade, or they'll be like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to stick with this. I just bought this new collector's one. It looks shiny. I got this game. I'm still playing, having fun.
I don't know. Brett, what about you, man? And it's interesting because, like, the Switches actually would help you kind of get back into gaming,
Yeah, I have no long-term beef towards Nintendo. I can be frustrated by what they do, but, like, bro, my opinion on the console is the same as every opinion on every console that comes out. So show me what you got, show me what you're bringing to the table, and I will see how interested I am. I don't really base my purchase decisions based off of, like, how to say fanboyism in a nice way. Like, I'm not like, I feel blank about this company, so like I generally like Xbox's products. I feel like they're focused a little bit more. I don't even know how to say it. Like, it just feels more kind of grassrootsy, focused on the gamer, less go. But like, PlayStation has this great glitz and appeal. But like, bro, I did not buy the last generation of Xbox with the Kinect and everything. Like, I don't care how much I liked the previous Xbox. And the 360 did piss me off, but like, I don't care how much I like something. You try and sell me half a system that I don't want, and I'm not going to buy it. So kind of with Nintendo, I enjoyed what they brought out when they had it, but it aged too quickly, just like everybody was afraid of. And my main problem with it is, like, and I've kind of said this from the get-go, like, I know everybody's like, it's Nintendo's console. It's not a fucking console. It's a handheld. It's always been a handheld. Nintendo just tried to save face by kind of backing in instead of like bowing out of the console market. They try to be like, no, we're still making a console. It's just a handheld that can like broadcast to a console. Like, yeah, how come the other things that do that claim to be handhelds and you claim to be a console? They're just, again, trying to save face. So like, if they came out with a real console, I'd be interested. But right now the problem for me is that they're a console, they're handheld, they're a Game Boy, that's okay, but they're being beaten in their own handheld space. Valve followed them there and then promptly just kicked the ever-living crap out of them in their own living room in terms of, bringing a superior product to market. So now they'd have to do something better than what Steam Deck is doing, which is going to be real fucking hard, or do more Blue Ocean and do something else new. And I don't know what that something else new is, but I would hope that it's adequately powered, because otherwise you're just not going to have a place in the race. It is what it is, man.
If rumors are true, and I believe this to be true, the next Switch will be as powerful as a PS4. Yay!
well,
And
that's
that's
what
the
was brought in
problem,
court.
because
Yay!
Is it a problem, Brett?
I think it is.
It obviously seems to be working for them. You know what I mean? Like, they obviously have proven that they don't need to be the most advanced console on the market. They literally are overcharging you for games that are significantly underpowered.
I mean, to me, they have two options here. They can get by, or they can survive, or they can thrive. Is what they're
thriving
doing fine?
though. Yeah, they are thriving. They're outselling everybody.
They are thriving.
Yeah, they're thriving.
I'd like to interject.
Yeah, what's up?
I feel, because I was thinking about this recently, so it's fresh in my mind. The whole we praise Nintendo because they sell a lot of copies of games and they sell a lot of consoles/systems, which obviously is a good thing for Nintendo. But we never take into account what a huge portion, especially for Sony, a huge portion of what makes them profit, and that's subscriptions and digital transactions. And I always wonder how Nintendo compares to like those, like Microsoft and Sony and those companies when it comes to making that type of money, because I feel like that type of money is the money that makes you uber successful instead of just successful.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, if Nintendo is making more money off console sales than subscription sales, wouldn't you consider that a better success? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they win doing something else and they're making more money than you,
but
you know what I'm saying?
They're not winning. They're not winning. Sony is.
What happened?
I said they're not winning. Sony is. Like, I realize that they're doing well.
Nintendo has outsold PlayStation 5 for like a fucking 2 years now.
Yeah, well, PlayStation 5 hasn't been available for 2 years now.
Yeah, but the Nintendo wasn't exactly that hard, and even with the PS4, it's also outselling PS4. You know how I feel about Nintendo, man, but I'm a numbers guy. I'm a sales guy.
It's outsold the PlayStation 4 total life sales?
No, not life sales, but since it has come out, it has beaten PlayStation 4 like almost consistently in terms of sales every month.
Since it came out, it's like, every year.
It came out late, obviously, but my point is that the Nintendo Switch, as shitty of a console as it is, we all admit that it is a crap console. It sells gangbusters.
Yes, but I feel like it's all relative, and I feel like it depends on how you measure that type of success. Obviously, you have the point blank.
Oh, by the way, it did outsell PS4 lifetime, Brett. So there you go.
Wow. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That thing was outselling both consoles consistently for years.
Then, to be honest, not to mention the power of their first-party titles. What we always talk about. It's the software that always sells. So we're blue in the face. And what are they? Right now they got one of the most popular. Essentially what we could call Mario Kart 8, pretty much a service game now, because they literally release a thing every 2 months. Or 3 months,
I think the Switch is only behind the PS2. In terms of overall sales.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So
by any metric, that is a success. Yeah.
I mean, okay. But I don't think anyone's negating that. I feel like what I was mentioning is when Nintendo looks at Sony, I feel like they're jealous. And why are they jealous? Because Sony makes hand and fist money off of third-party games.
They don't get to be jealous, Carlos. They don't get to be jealous. They made that bet. They made that bet.
They did make.
There would be no PlayStation if they didn't screw over Sony. So they made.
They created their own worst enemy. Ain't that something? Anyway, go on. But just had to throw that out there. Switch is
Go
like the second best-selling console of all time.
Console sales are a big factor that lead to success, but I feel like the margins are a lot tighter when it comes to console sales for either console, for PlayStation, for Switch, for an Xbox. I feel like most of the money that you make are off the high margins from digital sales, from microtransactions, from subscription services, from selling third-party games. And no one sells third-party games better than Sony does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But here's my thing to you though. It's like listen. We already know the Nintendo subscription service. It's probably not making as much money as PlayStation. Let's just be real here. PlayStation subscription. But if Nintendo's selling more consoles, doesn't that kind of
consoles though?
Brett, it doesn't. Okay, if they're selling more hardware, right? Yeah. Then it kind of evens everything out, Carlos. You know what I'm saying?
But the margins in the hardware are not the same as the margins in the digital stuff. Digital stuff, you make a lot more profit.
Losing the forest for the trees. You realize that, right? Like this whole thing started with me talking about they could be more successful, and then this just spiraled into a numbers game about how successful their numbers are.
Yeah,
but that wasn't my point to begin with. You realize that, right?
No, I don't, because
okay. Again,
okay, go ahead.
They don't have a console. That's my point, Tony. They have a handheld. They backed into their handheld market. Nintendo has not brought a viable console to market since the beginning of the Wii, before that shit fell off and was irrelevant.
Does that matter at this point? Because
to me, it does.
Okay, to you, but in terms of sales, it's beating up these consoles, dude.
You're the one trying to sidetrack this. I'm trying to tell you we're asking my opinion. So yeah, it's relevant.
Okay, fair enough.
Brett is officially answering the question for Nintendo, for him to come back to Nintendo, because that was the question for us to come back to Nintendo. What would they need to do? So, Brett
by the way, just real quick, I just have to apologize. I just have I get triggered when people go, the sales aren't all the metrics of success. They fucking are. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry to derail it.
But yeah, okay. So like my point here is Nintendo shot the bed after the release of the Wii, then they double shot the bed with the release of the Wii U, and then they stopped altogether trying to bring a console to market. I realize the thing that they're selling is selling well, but, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to stick to this idea, they backed their ass straight out of the console market and doubled down on the thing that they had always done really well with, and that's handhelds, right? They were straight up booted. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think what they're doing is uber successful. I think it was a great pivot for a company in trouble to double down, decrease their size, and focus on the thing that was making them money. But they didn't get to this point because they were wildly successful. They got to this point through fucking up. And if you're asking me, I'd like to see Nintendo produce a viable console along with their handheld that then does something to be more competitive with the handhelds that are currently out in the market. It doesn't do anything better than the Steam Deck does at the same price point, other than the games. And I realize the games are the selling point, but to me that says all right, we can hold people hostage on inferior hardware by failing to deliver the best that we could, because we can make up for it and make them buy our system exclusive games, right? That's doing a good job on your games, but that does not mean that's doing a good job on your hardware. And it is and isn't excusable, but I want to see them. Go ahead,
Brett. I agree with what you said, but here's the thing: Nintendo's not going to learn that lesson because of the factors that Tony mentioned. They are having success right now with their weak hardware and everything. They have outsold every previous console they've put out in history, right? Even the Wii, which had massive success, the Switch has outsold the Wii, right? So they've outdone themselves. So their hubris is at maximum. They're not looking at anything you said, hey, you need to look at all these. They are not looking at anything. They're just wow, we have done so fantastically well, patting themselves on the back. So they're either going to do the same thing over again, and just kind of repeat, just with the Wii, right? What did they do? They're let's just make the Wii over again. And I feel like that's what they're going to step into. They're like, oh, well, the Switch is successful. Just do this again, like more of this, but
Yep.
a little better
Yeah.
chip and sprinkle a little something on it.
Yeah, and again, it's great. Like, you've got yourself a really successful handheld here, but like that's not news. Nintendo has always had really successful handhelds. That's
Sure.
kind of their thing.
But just not at this level, right? So when you're saying like, hey, you should think about these things, they'll never think about those things. They'll be like, hey, we've done better than we've ever done. So
Yeah, and that's my fear is like now Nintendo is eternally they're never going to come out with a legitimate console again. They'll come out with something that can cast to a TV, sure, but like even then, like most versions of the Switch are not like the TV dock versions. They're just the regular kind that are just a fucking handheld, man. They don't have detachable Joy-Cons on them. I don't even think so.
the
Like,
Switch Lite.
yeah, so I don't think that it's a secret that like, bro, that's a handheld. I want to see them make a console.
You can't think it to your TV.
No.
Yeah, you can't.
It's like, so how's that the Switch anymore?
Yeah, it's not. Well, it's not the Switch anymore. It's just like, and again, I said this when they came out with it. I said this before they came out with it. Because I'm like, bro, I'm afraid that they're just slowly giving up and trying to be like, nope, we're doing this on purpose. We're not downsizing. We're streamlining, kind of thing. Like, it's okay, sure, buddy, and that's great. It seems to be working for you, and you doubled down on your handheld. Like, you nixed the console part of your company, but you definitely beefed up the handheld part, and it paid off for you, and it's paying off well. But like, it's aging too rapidly, and the problem here is like, okay, so if you've just straight up tapped out of consoles, like.
Oh, we lost Brett.
Uh-oh.
Nintendo got him.
Nintendo
got him.
Too many trigger
Nintendo
words.
not
proud of you.
Nintendo like X amount of times before they come after you.
It happens, man. All right. I think we're done here. Good show. Blitz, what's going on here? What's false? So, sales of the Lite are much lower than the other versions. Check those facts.
It has to be.
It probably
You
is.
can't
Yeah.
talk.
Who said that? Did someone here say that the Lite sold more?
Brett did.
I did?
No, I don't. Brett didn't
I don't
say
think
that.
he did.
No, Brett didn't say
No, I
that.
did.
Didn't you say the without the detachable Joy-Cons?
Yeah, but he said he didn't
No,
say it sold better. You know.
Yeah, I said
okay.
I said it's a lot of them are ones that don't even hook up to the TV.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a clarification for you.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, I don't think that's the
People
best
bought
selling
OLED. How
one.
many
But
people double dipped? Like, did they ever release the numbers for the OLED?
I don't know. Nintendo's not going to do that. They merge them all together. You know. Anyway, we are done here. Another good show. Do we have anything to plug?
I do.
And I do as well. And so does
And
that.
so does that.
Excuse me. Everybody's
So, yeah.
plugging tonight.
This is not a plug for myself, but for our Throwdown Twitch channel. The other day, I did play the Toxic Avenger a demo from Steam. You can actually download it right now, but if you want to see me play it, it's on the Twitch right now. I did two playthroughs. I played with the Toxic Avenger, and I played with Junkyard, the dog man. Anyway, yeah, it's a pretty good, like they give you a full level. They give you most of the roster from the original cartoon to play through as different characters, and it's got cutscenes and all kinds of other fun stuff. So it's a pretty good play. I can't wait to play the actual version of it, which is supposed to be coming like sometime next year. So yeah, good stuff. It's on our current Twitch right now.
Good stuff. I am Negan. What's going on with that?
We got another episode, episode 5 for Dead City. There's only 6 episodes, so we are headed down the finish line. This is it. One more to go, so that's out on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Big shout out to Messi. I know he's a fan of the show. Welcome to America. They had a whole sold-out stadium for him. It was celebrities did these cameos. I've never seen anything like this. Is like the ultimate welcome to America. Everybody was there crying, babies crying. They were like, this is history in the making. He's a living legend. He's here now. People that I didn't know speak Spanish, Beckham them going fluent in Spanish. People were crying for him too. It was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So yeah, shout out to friends of the show, Messi. And I Am Negan. It's out now.
Good stuff. Also, Video Game of the Year by Mr. Jordan Miner is out now. I have a blurb in it talking about Metal Gear Solid 3. So the book is out. It's awesome. Nice, thick. Lots of really cool illustrations inside, and it's just a very well done book. So make sure you go support this. And also, Throwdown is going to be launching a new show called Throwdown Interviews, and we are going to be interviewing Jordan Miner. So that's going to be cool. We're not sure when we're going to launch it. I know we're going to record this week because it's going to be different. We're not going to be streaming it on Twitch. And just for starters, it'll just be Manny and I interviewing some people. Although if anybody wants to come in, you obviously free to. So probably during the weekend, is when we're going to launch the show. Probably on a Saturday on YouTube, YouTube exclusive. But obviously, the MP3 guys will get their shit too. So
I'll be fun. On the Bobby Kotick one.
We'll definitely, because I want to keep it more intimate. But obviously, I want to have people who genuinely want to interview these guys. So Adam, when we got Bobby Kotick, I'll have you on. Video Game of the Year, Jordan Miner. Go buy your copy now, and also we will be interviewing Jordan Miner for our first episode of Throwdown Interview. So stay tuned for that, people. You already know. And with that, we are done here. Also, real quick, shout out to Richard Bailey Jr. and Otaku Man 5000, Andre Tipton, who joined us on the Thursday show. Good times with those fellas, talking about Activision. And hopefully we will not have to talk about this bullshit ever again, because it is over. It's done. Finally, thank you. It is over. It's a wrap. We're done, son.
Now let's talk about some fun-ass games.
Let's talk about games, man. Anyway, make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Join the Discord where the conversations and the rumors are always popping. What is going on with that noise back there?
I have no idea. It's like...
Brett, I'm looking at you.
My dog is chewing a bone. Is that a thing?
I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Shout out to Brett's dog,
Giving a dog a bone.
Yeah. Throwdown. We're on every podcast app on the planet. Throwdown Show. That's 2 words. Throwdown Show. Throwdownshow.com to listen to past episodes. And if you have been watching us on YouTube and enjoyed our videos, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when our premieres go live. Links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Adam Vale.
Have a good week, everybody.
And Brett Murdoch.
It's been real.
All right, people. We will see you on Thursday. Later.
Laters.
It's over 90,000.
It's impossible.